Ok yo tout le monde, voilà on est parti pour la Brawl Cup, pour react à la Brawl Cup les gars, évidemment. Donc là franchement on est parti pour un live que j'espère va être incroyable. Donc là c'est le jour 2, n'hésitez pas à aller regarder aussi les lives d'avant. Et voilà on est parti un petit peu. Voilà donc hop, je vais mettre en lecture seule. Et je remercie tous ceux qui s'abonneront suite à ce live. On espère avoir les 1000 abonnés. Salut Xemus, bienvenue, comment ça va BG? Ça fait longtemps, t'es pas venu. Bienvenue Xemus, bienvenue à tous ceux qui arrivent sur le live. Voilà. Hop.
Just motion, dance through the night like the waves of the ocean. Every step clean, got the whole spot lit. Ain't gotta say much, just watch how I sit. Let me show you things that you never ever seen. Penthouse view, undesigned dreams. Got the lights too bright, but the mood stay low. Dipping down slow, watch me shine, watch me glow. Come on.
Welcome to Dallas, Texas, hosting the very first battle of the region, where 8 teams from around the world aren't just playing for themselves, they're fighting for their flag, their people, their pride. Teams brawl through the Spring Split monthly finals. They earned their place here at the Brawl Cup and now stand ready to represent their region on a global stage. With 2 LCQ slots and 1 World Final slot on the line, this weekend will shape the competitive scene for the rest of the year.
Here comes the Mo, Luffy taken down by Joker, but now it's Lenar, and it's not enough. Turret to use, Humble, 50%, Crazy Raccoon have fallen short.
From the heart of Dallas, Texas, let the battle of the regions begin.
Good morning, DreamHack Dallas. We kicked off the Brawl Cup yesterday with a bang. Only 6 teams remain in the race to bragging rights and an extra slot at the World Championship for their region. But that was just a warm-up. Today, it's all about surviving the elimination round. Day 2 of the Brawl Cup starts right now. And of course, I'm not going to be alone again today. My name is Sunny. I'm super glad to have Ark and Kenny at my side here today. Fellows, any matches that just didn't let you sleep last night?
I'm going to go out there and say there's one that comes immediately to mind.
No, I can't think of a single thing. No shockers yesterday. We're all good in North America.
Woo.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, Kenny, you're going to get some bashing later on. I heard Ark is already teasing that.
As if I haven't gotten it already.
Are there, on the other side, any matches that you're looking forward to in particular today?
How can we not look forward to the first match of the day? We get SK versus Zeta, Battle of Titans. I think this is an SK roster that have been absolutely phenomenal this year. Zeta Division have looked into big shape. Both of them have 2 Grand Finals wins this year. What's not to love?
That's so true. Ark, for you?
Same one for me. I mean, we're starting off with the best, in my opinion, an SK Zeta. Who cannot get behind that, right? Curious, though, to see whether Loud can cause an upset against the world champs. That would be kind of interesting to see on our second match.
I'm looking forward to those matches as well. Also, I think I predicted a little different today than you, so I'm looking forward to that.
Really?
First up, though, we have 8 teams that qualified for the Brawl Cup. Only 6 teams remain as we had to say goodbye to Revenant X-Spark and Tribe Gaming. Kenny, what happened there?
I'm just curious why Tribe Gaming has been associated with me so much. Look, my North American region is strong. Our number 2 seed is still present. Elevate are a bunch of dogs, and they're going to get it done today. We are going to survive. We are going to survive.
I mean, North America, right, stands for nearest airport, if I'm not correct?
Okay, buddy. All right.
It was very unexpected, so we want to have a little closer look at just how that happened. Tribe Gaming, they're here heavily represented at DreamHack. They have a little car over there, so yeah, very represented. And still, they already are out of the competition on day number 1, Ark.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, though, I'm really all for this in the sense that, for South America, what a result, Going back to Bucharest in 2021, that was their best result until this period in time. So it's great to see them back on the scoreboard. And for Toxic Lotus, I mean, fantastic for mainland China.
6 teams remain. We have to say goodbye to another 2 after today. So let's see who's it going to be at the end of the day. First up, though, we want to talk about which teams we want to look forward to, which teams we want to keep our eye out for. They were just walking through yesterday with a win rate that, is way above 50%, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, SK obviously walking through their competition yesterday, but today is where the heat really starts to get dialed up. I mean, obviously having Zeta Division on the other end, this is something that I'm looking forward to. I think this could be a prelude to a possible grand final scenario as well. I think the top 3 teams coming to this event were the ones that we just saw on the graphic, and so far all 3 of them meeting expectations.
Well, let's see which team is going to meet expectations today, which team might have to also leave unexpectedly. Again, Tribe Gaming, we had to say goodbye to them. Revenant Xpart also had a great run. They had some great showings, I feel. Yet still, it just wasn't enough to make it to Day 2 arc.
Yeah, it's a grueling competition, no doubt about it, and only the best survive, and this is why Day 2 for me is so exciting. I mean, SK Gaming, Zeta, these are 2 teams which are so hard to draw a line between as to who is going to come out on top, and it's going to be a tough situation for whoever loses that matchup, because then they're going to be in that situation where that last match of the day is going to be crucial for them.
And I'll talk about yesterday, though. We are on Day 2 now. Now it really comes down to the grit of things. And Kenny, I want to hear from you again. Which matches are you looking forward to? And do you expect something, a little upset today to happen?
One I'm going to put on the radar for sure. And genuinely, we were talking about this yesterday. I think Toxic Lotus were obviously, in hindsight, very underrated. But even still, they've had great showings in the past. The fact that they got their first ever best of 5 win at an international level yesterday is a little bit shocking, especially in front of a home crowd. These guys don't have the same caliber of competition. They don't have the same benefit as a lot of our other contestants from different regions. So the fact that they nailed those drafts, major shout out to Star Dragon, their coach who was on the stage. He was cooking yesterday. Loud, obviously a good composition of players, have a lot of experience. I'm not ruling out them taking down whatever it ends up being between Loud and Humble.
That's going to be an interesting match. 2 very loud teams. On one side we have Semantic there and Humble, and then Loud, a team that brings in the vibes. And we did a little vibe check with all of the teams, not just them. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I mean, last year me and Yoshi were already in SK Gaming, so we looked for the new year 2025, and we thought what could we improve in the team. We all agreed on that we needed a bit more help in the draft, and that's why we contacted OP. And for now, it has worked really well, and we're happy with the team.
Zeta Division は、まあ、オフの時とオンの時の差がほんまにな、すごくて、オフの時はちゃんと僕たちの仕切りじゃなくて、しきたりっていうのがあるんですけど、そういうのもこなしながら、で、オンの時はちゃんとスクリームしてガチで集中しますし、で、まあ仲もいいですし、ご飯の時もまあ、いろいろありますし、そういう面で、ゼタディビジョンでチームめちゃくちゃいいですね、雰囲気も。
One thing I like about the current Elevate roster is I feel like we're friends before teammates. Like we can make each other laugh and be unserious in scrims, even though we shouldn't be. But I feel like it's always a good time.
I feel like you also get rage baited too much.
Like winning every single scrim since like the start of the roster. I didn't expect.
I don't think we're losing any scrims since
I mean, we still have to. Right now, the last 2 weeks we have really high win rates.
I think we have the highest one, no? In Brawl Cup, we do.
In the last 1.5 weeks, I think.
We have the highest one.
We didn't scrim yet for Brawl Cups team, so let's see. Because not every team is like preparing, and we had like our own region EMEA. We only scrim from there, so let's see how it is now. But yeah, our scrims are always on point.
ゼータディビジョンを表すとしたら最強です。
Yeah, the word that describes us the best is chaotic.
He's doch, but because Yoshi is a really big doch.
I just love that little moment. The chaotic, humble roster. Luke says, we have the highest win rate, right? Just checking. Yeah, super fun. And then on the other side, we have Vegeta saying we are friends before we are teammates. I think that's super important. There's many different parts that make a really good team in Brawl Stars. And esports really, especially in Brawl Stars though. We have team chemistry, synergy, communication, mechanics. And there are teams that shine in different parts of all of those little elements. But then there are some that cover everything, Ark.
Yeah, Semantic there, just so humble, just forgets that he's got a 67% win rate, yeah. And but Vegeta, I mean, I'll be honest, I've never seen him be serious. So him saying that we can be unserious, I think, like, again, I think this is part of his character at this point.
Oh, it's just part of the team vibe. And honestly, I think vibe's very important. Like they said, I mean, a pretty common theme was they all seem to get along pretty well, and that's part of it for sure. You definitely don't want it to be a transactional interaction, I guess you could say, with every single scrim in practice. You got to be a little unserious. You got to learn to let loose a little bit. But when they're on that stage, make no mistake, they are absolute competitors.
I definitely feel like at least have fun. If you drop out today, at least if you had fun, if you were there with your friends and had a great time on stage.
Power of friendship. Yes, ma'am, Sonny. Yeah.
It's going to be great. Those elements that I just mentioned, synergy, communication, all of that, one thing I left out is the draft. And we did see some different picks yesterday. We have seen that the same 3 brawlers have been picked in all 6 regions pretty much, with the Chester up there, the Hank, and now we have a couple of new ones coming in, Ark.
Yeah, for me, things just really... Yesterday was everywhere, wasn't he, really? I mean, you can just see how it was such a common pick for Humble, for Zeta, and everyone now has got their eye on that brawler. It's the one that's not really flashy enough in terms of the bans. You're looking at more like Kenji for that kind of stuff, and Lumi, of course, as we know, but certainly for Draco as well. We saw a lot more Draco than I was expecting to see yesterday, for sure. I mean, Gus as well, I feel like is elevating slightly forwards. B was always taking the spotlight, but now Gus is kind of equal to B in that regard with a 6, and the Hank as well, as we know yesterday, isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and in the ban category, I'm not shocked at all. I think we all kind of knew it was going to be Lumi or Kenji. The only one missing from this that I feel like got a lot of hype and certainly is not delivered is Jae Young, newest brawler in the game, support asset. But I just not a big believer in him yet. I think he still has yet to be proven. And sometimes, especially in that initial tournament with these brawlers, the first month with them at Pro Play, people are still figuring him out a little bit. But I do think Kenji's hypercharge, just Lumi being Lumi, is a lot to handle, so I expect to see them banned a ton today too.
No surprises there. Lumi still our most banned brawler as of now. Maybe the teams have already swapped again. Every single day could be a slightly different meta. We also had that little show match in the afternoon, our Brawl Arena, and I think for that we also have a different meta going on. So if this mode comes into the game in the future, I'm super excited to see also if we have a little bit of a change there as well. Now, we asked you once again, what are your favorite moments from the Brawl Cup so far? You were able to post just anything you like on our socials, and we figured out which ones we liked best, and we're showing those right now, Ark.
I mean, there might be another Edgar here today as well, as I know Karis might be in the building. So, but someone did find Edgar. Jimbo, BS54, says that he did. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great cosplay. It's fantastic to see the community really coming together for that kind of thing.
Shout out Jimbo. Had the opportunity to meet him yesterday. Phenomenal man. Had some recording sessions with him where I've certainly been beaten badly by him in Brawl Stars. Little mixed reactions there on the predictions, by the way, so we are getting a little frisky with it, folks.
We're going to talk about predictions a little later. First up, though, Most Wanted Sisters here. We do have that little photo booth where you can take your own pictures. Just make sure to always put hashtag Brawl Cup, hashtag DreamHack Dallas 2025, and maybe you're featured tomorrow, Art.
And of course, I was gonna say the big story of yesterday. I mean, one thing you've got to say about Tribe Gaming is that they know social media, and this is what I love about this as an organization, because you know they've still got their spirits in the right place. You know, you can't kind of like shy away from what is just the glaringly obvious. You know, run with it, roll with it, meme it, speak the same language as the community, and you're going to do pretty well.
I'm very sure they had this graphic prepared, but for other teams, not themselves.
Oh.
Probably pre-made already, super ready for the whole weekend, and now dropping out on the first day. I'm so sorry for them, but the show must go on. And as you said before, now South America gets a time to shine thanks to Tribe dropping out. So sometimes just unlucky. Well, if you're watching from home right now, if you're watching from right next to us and you have your phones out, make sure to also go over to event.brawlstars.com to get your predictions in. You can earn Pro Pass XP that goes towards your Pro Pass, and you can get those star drops, the Astral Cold Skin, and many more pins and fun little gimmicks. So make sure to do that right now. Get your predictions in. And we're talking about predictions already, so let's head over to ours as well. And as promised, there's a little switch up, as I think I voted something else as well.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Uber did it too.
Let's go.
He covered the homework there, right? So, studied
as
it
always.
Look, Barney was on the money yesterday. I feel pretty good copying his homework. I'm just going to ride. I maybe need to ride the hot hand with this. We don't have Prediction Master Trav here, so we may have found our guy.
I mean, I just wanted to make two people happy here. It was really easy to make both Symantec and Roll happy. Roll asked me to vote for them, so I voted loud.
Okay.
Symantec was like, please
pleaser, I
don't,
see.
I beg you, so you don't jinx this. So I made two people happy. I mean, I win anyway, right? In this one.
Well, I mean, if your prediction's right, you win.
I also win because I made two people happy, is my
Well, I don't know. Power of friendship.
Sounds like
Big
some-
believer in the power of friendship over
Sounds like
here.
a
Oh,
I don't know if we're on board with
promotion
this.
going on here, I feel.
We're going to talk that out in quite a little break. We're going to be right back.
Sauvage et libre, je me lance, sauvage et fier, je danse, personne ne peut m'arrêter.
je vole, tu es sauvage, tu m'affoles.
The scene is set. Our teams have had a taste of what it's like to compete here on the main stage at DreamHack Dallas. But now the real work begins. My name is Barney Banks and I am your host, and welcome to the Brawl Cup, our mid-season tournament that throws personal pride out of the window because our teams, they're fighting for something more. They're fighting for their region. So let's take a look at which of our teams came out swinging on day one.
Always exciting to play against Data.
圧倒的にストレートでバチバチにボコボコにしに行きます。
Mama com açúcar.
We're just better. He was better than everything.
And it's down to their final life. Patchy feeling the heat, the bounce. Oh!
The evasion is going to be there no matter what. It's a little bit low but loud. Get the job done.
Yesterday, 2 teams were sent home and 1 region was eliminated. So reality has now set in for our players that they could be next. No room for mistakes, just Brawl Stars esports at its finest. And so it is time to kick off day 2 of the Brawl Cup. So DreamHack Dallas, are you ready? Let's do it.
Welcome to Dallas, Texas, hosting the very first battle of the region, where 8 teams from around the world aren't just playing for themselves. They're fighting for their flag, their people, their pride. Teams brawl through the Spring Split monthly finals. They earned their place here at the Brawl Cup and now stand ready to represent their region on a global stage. With 2 LCQ slots and 1 World Final slot on the line, this weekend will shape the competitive scene for the rest of the year.
Here comes the Mo. Luffy taken down by Joker, but now it's Lenar, and it's not enough. Turret to use, Humble, 50%, Crazy Raccoon have fallen short.
From the heart of Dallas, Texas, let the battle of the regions begin.
We are back with day 2 of the Brawl Cup, live from DreamHack Dallas. Yesterday, we saw 8 world-class teams take it to the stage and throw down in a Texas-sized showdown. Today, the pressure turns up. Win, and you're one step closer to that extra World Final slot. Lose, and watch another region take it. This is Brawl Stars esports at its finest, and we are just getting started. Now, fellows, which highlight play from yesterday is still living rent-free in your head? I'm here with Ark, I'm here with Kenny. Go.
It's got to be the Shade. I mean, it was an absolutely unbelievable set there on Hard Rock Mine out of our Chinese mainland team. Unbelievable. I mean, the amount of supers that brother cycled. I mean, he's moving at the speed of light. I couldn't blinking and miss it kind of action.
Whizzing around the entire map so quick. Yeah. I was chatting to Adrian backstage about that very thing, and he said like that was exactly what the design of that particular brawl was meant to do. I think for me, it was the way the Tribe was clinging on for dear life in that final match, in that knockout phase. And there was a moment there for me when they may have been able to bounce back versus Toxic Lotus, but it wasn't to be, as we know. And now, NA's hopes lie with Elevate.
Yesterday we had our group stage phase GSL format. 2 groups of 4 teams. The 2 best teams of each group made it to day 2. And now the top 4 can still fight for their lives here, can still fight for survival and stay in today. We're going to have to say goodbye to another 2 today, Ark.
Yeah, this is the thing now. It is the crunch time of day 2. In Group A, of course, we've still got Elevate, Revenant, Xbox went home yesterday. SK Gaming and Zeta Division will be up first here today. In Group A, for Group B, we've got Humble, Loud, Toxic Lotus, and Tribe Gaming, of course.
Oh, are you going to look at me? Well, yeah. They unfortunately went home, but Elevate is here and North America is strong. We will not falter. We will not falter.
Predict which teams you think are going to win today and cheer for your favorite teams over at event.brawlstars.com. Our predictions for the first match, pretty even here. SK Gaming is playing Zeta Division, EMEA versus East Asia. And yeah, why are we so in unison for this one? Why is SK Gaming winning, guys?
It's SK Gaming. For me, they are looking so strong coming into this competition. 2 monthly final wins. And, you know, every single year I just feel like SK Gaming are just a little bit late when it comes to their performances. This year is a different story entirely. They started last year with a grand finals win in the monthly finals, but then trailed off and had consistent semi-finals exits. So for Joker, for Yoshi, for OP, I feel like this roster, it's just never looked better for the organization.
I do think SK Gaming has what it takes today. Let's see if they think so too.
And playing about Zeta for me will be really hard match because I have to beat Side Tempo that used to be
before he has 100% win rate in all 10 games that he played Shade. His team won, Kenny.
I think today an underrated storyline as well is going to be a battle for the Shade. One thing when watching scrims of both these teams leading into the week, SK not afraid to bring out the Shade. We saw what it can do yesterday in a perfect draft setting. It's a brawler that will excel. I don't consider it an S-tier brawler. In Tapo's hands it is, but maybe for a generic player like myself, it's more of a B kind of feeling. But if you get the right setup, you have the best mechanics. It's just hard to stop.
This is a match we were all just waiting for, and now it's time to meet our teams. But first up, Ark, do you still feel like SK Gaming has something in the back pocket that could surprise Zeta Division? As we know, they haven't been the strongest in the draft in the past. Is it going to be now that SK Gaming comes up with a new pick that Zeta Division just can't handle?
Timing for me feels right. With Joker leading this squad, I feel like, as we were mentioning before, a man which goes back historically with this very squad. The only time that Joker's ever been able to get the win of Tampo was at the SPS Masters in Japan, and that was the very event where we saw Crazy Raccoon come third, and Tensai was in tears as he really wanted to represent his home region successfully, and they failed that. They came third, and you can see how much it meant to them. Well, now for Tampo today, this is what it's all about. For this region in East Asia, they are so humble around the region, but they're going to want to bring it home for themselves.
Now, our players are ready. Let's give them a warm welcome to the stage.
We have a clash of titans on our hands. DreamHack Dallas, make some noise for your next 2 teams. It's Zeta Division and SK Gaming. Zeta Division is Shitampo, Levi, and Shizuku. SK Gaming are Ope, Joker and Yoshi.
EMEA versus East Asia. It's SK Gaming versus Zeta Division. You put your money on SK Gaming, Kenny. You still feel like that? Looking at Zeta Division's faces, they look pretty locked in.
Look, one thing that I can't remove from my brain, this is a legacy year for Shatampo. That is a scary man on the GOAT list, the Mount Rushmore, and I think he can stand alone if they do the unthinkable, and he takes two players who have never made it past an LCQ, does something like winning a Brawl Cup or placing well, but more importantly, if this man were to somehow win a World Finals, I don't know how you can't consider him to be an all-timer. The fact that all of us picked SK Gaming to win this honestly makes me nervous in the sense that, I mean, the desk is not valuing Zeta Division enough. This is not a one-sided match. I really do feel like this is going to be tight.
Yeah, just do not come at Shatampo with a magnet. He's going to get... yeah, I agree. I feel like, we've all gone SK Gaming here, but I'm actually kind of surprised that we're so united on the casting desk in terms of our predictions, because I do not feel like this one is going to be a doozy. I think this is definitely one that deserves to go all the way to a final set, and that's what I'm hoping for here.
Both of them have won 2 monthly finals in their region. Now they are about to take it to the global stage for the second time. It's day 2 of the Brawl Cup here. SK Gaming versus Zeta. Both black and white logos, it's beautiful. But who's gonna be the better logo? Who's gonna be the logo that is gonna hoist that trophy, the bragging rights, the glory, the first winners ever from the Brawl Cup? And who's gonna take that extra slots for World Finals to their home region?
It's not the first time Joker's won a mid-season tournament. You alluded to it. The SPS Masters, an international competition we had just a few years ago, where he did take on some of the greats of East Asia, that crazy raccoon of old roster, obviously changed up a little bit since Shatampo's departure. But we were talking about it before. This feels like the SK Gaming core that they've been looking for. They've been all over it the past few years. Lots of top 4s, rocky regular seasons. This year it's coming together a lot earlier. All that matters is when they peak, obviously, but I do feel like there's a real chance that this SK Gaming squad is a world contender.
Yeah, for Joker, it just always seems like all roads lead back to Zeta one way or another as an organization, doesn't it? You look back to the World Finals last year, and SK Gaming were that team to be able to topple the current reigning champions of the world of Zeta Division then, who were obviously an EMEA squad. Years prior to that, every single event that Joker ever attended, it was always a Zeta Division squad that he would meet in those World Finals. Well, today, SK Gaming have got a fantastic opportunity ahead of themselves to really make a statement. With Pedro in the side of things, I feel like in terms of the draft and the analysts of Zeta being able to really get a deeper dive into what they're going to be bringing in is going to be crucial here.
Zeta Division, we've talked about SK Gaming being all over it, but they've got a knack for selecting good rosters. I think it's safe to say they've won half of our World Finals, and they did in a stretch of 3 years in a row, some of that being from East Asia, obviously an EMEA squad there in 2023, now known as Foot. But this is a completely new set of players. I mean, Levi, Suzuku, mostly unproven in the sense that they've been great in their region, but when it comes to that international competition, LCQ's as far as they've made it, and they've fallen short now multiple times, whether together, whether separate. This is a real opportunity for them too. I think it means a lot to them. I mean, you talked about it, just the emotion back in SPS Masters. It's the battle of the regions for a reason. I mean, I think teams like Tribe Gaming are certainly kicking themselves right now because they didn't represent their region like they were supposed to. These guys have a lot on their shoulders. They're carrying an entire region, including some of the greats like Tensai, Achapi, past world champions.
Just looking at the org itself, Zeta Division has hoisted some trophies before. They have been back-to-back world champions. On the other side, we have SK Gaming waiting to win their very first international tournament. Wouldn't be the first one for Joker. Now let's see if he can also lead this team to victory. 70% are actually voting for Zeta Division here. Only 30 agree with us too.
Yeah, I'm kind of, it's nice to see at least the poll, which is looking less one-sided than some from yesterday, but even that is still, I feel, a little bit slanted. Kind of wild as well to think back to the World Finals last year, both of these two teams losing to Humble and wanting to make a name for themselves here today.
We're starting into the very first draft of today, SK versus Zeta. Shade is going to be banned out from the side of SK Gaming, as well as Gus and Hank. No surprises there, as you don't want to hand that shade to Shatampo one more time. Let's see if later on we do see that 100% win rate gets slanted a little bit. Buster's going to be the first pick here, something we've seen from SK Gaming yesterday, and it worked well for them, Kenny.
Finks on the rise as well, so I'm keeping an eye out for him. Keep note too, especially with this map pool, we've got Layer Cake right now. If we get there later, Triple Dribble. This is where Shade can pop up. Both of these teams really like that brawler. They used him a ton this week. Buster is a first pick, a little interesting. I don't think we see it all the time, but he is one of those free brawlers in ranked that you all should be looking out for. A phenomenal brawler, so lucky that you all can get your hands on him, no matter what player you are.
I'm kind of surprised. I was going to say Janet's dropped off, but it was the first pick for Zeta more often than not. But I was surprised we didn't see her as much as as I expected to see yesterday, to be completely honest. Very much a first pick brawler on this map, often banned out. So great to see Janet coming in for Zeta Division now as well. Definitely a good time to consider tanks, as the Buster certainly is going to be on their mind. It's a good first pick from SK Gaming. So HP wouldn't be the worst of things. Ollie would be available as well. Wouldn't be a bad shout. The Hypnosis, of course, would help out tremendously in trying to herd your opposition around. Gus as well, pretty safe bet for them. Gene going to come in as that kind of mid-controller, similar to Gus in that respect. Of course, the vision gear going to be pretty handy. And speaking of hands, the magic hand, of course, to be able to pull in and eradicate your opposition very swiftly.
Two good things just happened for Zeta Division. One, they got Gene, who I think is a staple in this map, especially the mode right now. It's just so frustrating for the vision, for poke damage, the magic hand, some big pop-off plays, but also a Gene Buster combo would have been nasty. It's just a very passive synergy. They don't have to get on the offensive unless they want to. Buster can get that super, obviously, just by standing next to Gene. Gene can heal. Such a good synergy. Gray going to be the choice here. Now, Gray plus tank. Also a frequent strategy, no longer just a cheesy hot zone strategy on ladder. These pro players have picked up on it a ton, especially with hypercharges getting the mix. Gray has risen as well.
Yeah, quite dangerous now. Wouldn't mind necessarily a throw here from SK to have some control, but I'm definitely scared now with that Busted Gray combo, as I'm sure Zeta will be very cautious to not find themselves on those back lines. If they get something like that for control on top of this aggression and HP, then I feel like it could be something which Zeta might struggle against the wall with when it comes down to it. Yeah, Juju, love it, absolutely love it. Of course, Gree as well going to be helpful into a potential tank if Zeta want to go down that line as a third and final pick. But this is a really nice draft here from SK Gaming for me.
Well-rounded. I mean, both of these teams have certainly been stronger in the draft category this year. The fans certainly agreeing there. Juju, a frequent one. I mean, sometimes you'll see some cheeky little Barley gameplay. I've seen some really wild ones in the thrower category, but I don't know if you do that into a Buster plus a Gray, especially with something like a Walking Cane that can just nab ya. It sounds like Stu. Stu's been a frequent one for Zeta Division in particular. They like this little aggro. It's a brawler that's certainly fallen down the tier list a little bit, our professional gameplay. But if you're good, especially a Suzuku, for example, phenomenal Stu player. I don't mind this.
Yeah, it's a very, very Zeta pick, and a brawler which they use in scrims quite a lot, just shy of a 60% win rate as well, so they can definitely rely on it to bring in the goods. But I agree, it's not necessarily the big heavy hitter that I want to see in a map and mode like Bounty and Layer Cake, but in their hands, it makes me feel quite confident that they can bring something with it. And the speed zone as well as a gadget, really, really great for just allowing everyone to get really quickly into the map, and potentially wall break as well is an option for Zeta to explore if they want to go with that too. And just give themselves some options. Let's see how SK start. Miss Walking Cane, not great there from Jugger as a getting the thumbs just warmed up, as Tampa now moving forward and aggressing. On the left-hand side, Yoshi will need to try to connect as many of these shots as early as possible to be able to get the Gree down and just to have that in their back pocket.
Ope just able to bolster that HP, walk forward, grab a blue star without much of a threat of dying. Now a little scouting report being done by Janet. You're going to see that gadget a lot. Of course, Levy can dish out some nice heat there. There's the Walking Cane, another miss there. They really need to land one of those.
Yeah, getting some break of the bush would go a long way here for SK and just take away some of that unpredictability, really, as Zeta are really getting themselves stuck in at home. Taking it slow, for sure. Blue star still with SK Gaming, as you'd like to have in this kind of play style, which we've seen time and time again from a team like SK. And for me, they need the utility, though, ready for this inevitable push coming in from Zeta. If Zeta are able to deprive as much as they can, then they're not going to have anything to defend. Finally, Gree there from Yoshi, but he is out of position, going back there, utilizing the water, trying to connect those shots to get that slow effect.
SK clearly buying their time. You're going to see this a lot in professional Brawl Stars. Grab blue star, play defense, and especially with such a passive composition where Buster can just charge his super up at a moment's notice. Yoshi can play the distance. Now they're on the offensive, though. Grabs one, dishes a second. Not enough for a kill, though. Suzuku under heavy fire. We'll have to back away for now.
Yeah, no hypercharge yet for Suzuku. Nice shots from the OP, takes to the skies now as well. Shitampo goes in, a nice TP away from Joker, who finds then Shitampo as well. That's 3 stars lead now, follow up as well to Suzuku. 5 stars for SK Gaming, and nothing to stay for it for Zeta, but a magic hand coming in for Levy.
They're going to have to make a big time play here early on, and it's only game number 1. Shitampo moving alongside his teammates. A massive pull goes through. Joker lands the mark. Trade 7-2. Plenty of time for Yoshi to get around this left-hand side. Joker bottom right corner, and SK Gaming come through in game number 1.
A very comfortable start. The confidence exuding there from SK. And for Zeta, I feel like they probably will switch up their gameplay this time around and go a bit more on the aggressive early on. Janet, of course, really elevated the picks on this very much primarily because of a hypercharge addition, which we didn't really kind of see. Nice pull to start things off. Now those walking canes from Joker are starting to land the mark. That's 2 stars already, just to 1 of Zeta as the blue star gets handed over swiftly. Now taps into Suzuku. Shitampo coming into this left-hand side. Again, getting themselves ready in this mid, healing back up accordingly, and then ready for that push.
Zeta were much more aggressive, but in a negative connotation. Now they've given up a 1-star, a death, and they've got the blue still with SK Gaming, so it didn't work out. Yoshi, once again, just buying time. Suzuku now a little more aggressive, just dropping that base, trying to make sure he can get visibility on the enemies. Even if it goes down immediately, they at least have an idea where SK are lying.
Yeah, Yoshi's already done a good job there of establishing the Grigri as well. The hypercharge is there for OPE, who's just so dangerous on this pick now with the TP in the dimensional doors. And there, Livo will fall. Shitampo coming in, but immediately forced out there as the montage, blocking every shot. And the heals as well, of course, from that great pick. Really working wondrously well for SK Gaming. Suzuki still that bottom right-hand side, though. The Grigri goes out. Meanwhile, Shitampo low in the mid as well. And the pull is there! And now some stars handed over a 4-3 scoreline.
Close once again. Gap down to 1 star, and SK Gaming right back on defense. Ooh, a nice little walking cane. Not enough to stretch the distance, though. Now the pressure being applied. Shitampo, right hand in, skating up and down. We haven't seen him get a ton of supers, and Stu obviously relying on that. He's just trying to flank, get really aggressive. Okay with the pull, though. Takedown goes through, and SK Gaming will extend.
There's still time, though. 20 seconds on the clock for Zeta, and their third now joining the mix of Shitampo. Time for one final push, but SK Gaming are absolutely ready for it now. TP in from OPE as well as the hypercharge there. The montage blocking every shot, but he's low. 4 stars above his head will be plenty for Zeta to be able to reap the rewards of. But everyone's low now going. Suzuku falls. It's 8 stars to the SK Gaming, and they will take this first set.
EMEA get on the board first. Now it's a relatively uncontested as well. I don't know if that was a draft thing, a getting settled in thing. We knew this SK squad were legitimate, but a lot of believers at home in this Zeta Division squad. Been phenomenal in the region. Didn't have any qualms really with the draft. I just feel like SK played it better for the most part. I like that they had a thrower. Obviously, once Gray gets established, they can kind of use that teleport. You saw how many times he was in and out with the healing. Also allows Buster to just pop up, drop a little shield, and now they can move up or down as they please.
In this event, I'll be honest though, in terms of the stats, I've never seen so many donuts for Zeta. It's kind of getting a little bit alarming, but I think for me, the draft was not a bad draft by Zeta, but it just didn't really have enough muscle behind it.
Sure.
Didn't really have any ability to really kind of force their way forwards and push their agenda. It was basically just playing into SK, and that's exactly how not to force a game in with SK. You want to be able to take control, you want to be aggressive, and you want to push them out of their comfort zone. SK like to play defensive, they like to take their time and allow you to make the mistake. And that's kind of what we saw.
It's easy to pick 3 good brawlers. No problem with any of these. I mean, Stu may be a little on the low right now in terms of where he's been in the past, but where's the quick burst of damage?
Yeah.
Buster can land a pull, tap, 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 you're dead. TP from Gray, surprise attack. I just feel like there were more options. And Juju, obviously that constant pressure in the grass, unless you get a big time wall break with a gene pull, what were they really supposed to do?
Well, I think we both agree that draft speaking for Zeta needs to be a little bit better in the next map for sure. Some more tanks and some more defensive capabilities, as Double Switch will be up next. Gem grab, that is where Zeta needs to tie up this scoreline, because again, at this stage of the competition, you really cannot afford to find yourself 2 sets down. And now they've had a chance to get warmed up, we've really got no excuse. But for SK Gaming, this is exactly the start they want to have, and no doubt Pedro is saying those very same words to the squad as we speak. taking themselves slow and pacing themselves, I think, is where things are quite key here. But for Devil Switch, of course, very tank-friendly. But now with Amber's introduction, there is that consideration. Definitely a pick that Zeta would like to get their hands on. I'm looking here at Finks as well, certainly so. Kind of want to see that in the bans. Kenji is a must-ban. Lumi, of course, as we know already. We're not going to be seeing very much of for that same reason. But, you know, Buster. I think that for me, Zeta have got to shut that down because that is an OPE pick for SK.
Looking out for Lily here as well. Tara at the top of leaderboards right now in the professional scene. I just think the ability for Lily to get sneaky, have a hypercharge, it's just so hard to dodge. There's some standard bans on that top right-hand side, which means SK Gaming are going to have that first pick. So this is where they get more selective. Shockingly, Jackie has shown up quite a bit in SK Gaming scrims, and I think in particular that's mostly due to that Buster you alluded to.
Yeah, they haven't banned it out on the side of Zeta, so I feel like that is the first pick-worthy brawler here for SK Gaming, for OPE, especially in his hands. Every time I see it, I mean, his win rate with that particular brawler has probably got to be one of the highest in the world. They're going to be going with Chester. Actually, I don't mind it. Going with the tank counter option, I think can make a lot of sense here on a map like Double Swoosh, as they're expecting potential tanks here from Zeta, who also would allude to that Buster pick as well. Themselves, Draco as well, I feel, has definitely got a spot here as a brawler that I saw a lot more of yesterday than I was expecting to see.
Other tanks on the board, so we mentioned Buster. Hank's still readily available. Amber is somebody that's obviously climbed back up, especially with the hypercharge and that open lane for visibility, for constant damage. Really nice. Several options, though. I mean, Pam's shown up in the pro meta. Didn't see her much yesterday, so maybe just a practice thing they tried out and don't go with. But, of course, our #1 most picked brawler, always a safe bet.
Since that additional movement speed, it just feels like every single region has paid note to it and getting the rewards. You know, prior to that buff, there wasn't really many people that were even experimenting with things. And it just meant, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Now I think that Zeta might be cooking. And SK are clearly feeling okay with that just a pick. They kind of would have felt themselves that this might be likely to happen. So the fact that they value Chester more means that they're willing to go into that counter and play a bit more passive, a bit more defensively in that regard as well. But I like what you were saying about the Pam pick as well. It's still one of those kind of odd brawlers to see come through, but one that I'm not seeing many teams experiment with. But SK do, very much so. It's kind of like their second highest pick in terms of those scrim rates. So I want to see whether that is a potential mid there to come through here. It's an odd one. It's not necessarily tried and tested Gene. Yeah, I like that. I prefer that myself. It's a bit safer. And of course, the vision gear going to be quite crucial with that particular brawler.
Gene's a more frequent one nowadays just because that visibility. It feels like teams are just relying on the safety net that he has on the table. And Chester can obviously be able to do a great job on the lane, whatever it ends up being. If they want to get something beefy like a Buster, obviously if his shield, different story, but you at least can dish out a quick amount of damage. Daryl is one I did not expect, though. Obviously, the mobility. This is going to be their, not gym carrier by any means, but this is how they're going to take away gyms and get the heck out of dodge.
Yeah, this is SK Gaming kind of making up for the fact that they did not manage to land the Chester, the Buster pick, and it's definitely a brawler which is never really on my mind, but it's one that I think many don't anticipate seeing, and it can make some plays. It really, really can. And again, like I said, OP is fantastic with tanks. Like, it's just a bit secondary, though, to that Chester, in my opinion. There's the Lily, yeah. And I'm really quite shocked that we haven't seen as much of Lily yesterday as I was expecting to see. Because in scrims, she's really, really high up there in terms of the plays and the win rate. So on this particular map, I can see it working out fantastically well. Going into the realm, getting behind your opposition and flanking around the map, communicating back to your team, and then timing the strike. That top left-hand side really is going to have to be checked constantly now by Zeta. And that's going to be taking them away from the objective. I think that now Zeta have got a much bigger problem on their hands.
#1 seed out of EMEA. First one to take a set on the board. But Chitampo, I have a feeling won't be going too far away. Here we go, set 2, folks. Gonna be a start in the middle, each gym spawning per side, and already it's Suzuku getting sneaky. Gonna approach that grass, and he went straight up the middle. I mean, playing some mind games here, that's something you have to constantly have in your mind, though, all the time when Lily's on the field.
And it's gonna keep OPE back as well, because he needs to stay in that bush and be ready for his team to ensure that strike. Now going in on the right-hand side, and there's a perfectly timed time warp there as well from Suzuku. They managed to secure OPE in that regard. But now, look at the top left-hand side, Yoshi going in so deep there, breaking the bush as well. Is going to force all of Zeta to that right-hand side now. Nowhere to hide.
Oh, and they remove him immediately. Oh, the pull goes through, though. Ope trying to get there as well. Nice little dive in. Enough to get some good aggression, but still a 4-star lead. SK Gaming, complete control of the map as well. Buster reflecting. He's a momentum shifter. Tries to move the team up a little bit when they're facing a deficit. The only way they're going to be able to march forward.
Yes, Zeta are very clustered, but that is going to only aid into the Buster. That time warp is going to ensure that SK Gaming are going to have to wait their timer out here, but they've got many gems in their pocket now. It's a nice pull there from Joker, and Levi very, very low here, but able to survive on. And now the gems are dropped to Zuko to be able to pop into the realm if he wishes, but he might not have the gadgets. He's buying his time for as long as he can, but Joker comes back in off the spawn and puts those gems back in SK's pocket.
Even though they don't escape with the gems, they bought time. You pointed it out. Now they had the mid a little bit longer, were able to recover, and now it's a 3-gem deficit and a little bit more control. The red roster, top right-hand side, SK Gaming playing from the left. The 9th gem being acquired. Now SK Gaming just one away from a countdown. Zeta Division are going to have to start making moves.
Hypercharge there for Yoshi, and OP wants to go in prematurely as well, get some good taps for his time. But look at Suzuki as well, lurking in the realm, coming in, and goes in low HP. Joker picks it up, and the gems still lie with SK. Tampu too low to be able to contest it. They might just get some more with Joker here. Not a bad time to do so. Protected there by OPE, and with the clock ticking down, Zeta are so late for this push, they're not going to make it in time.
Not a strong showing so far. Ope, a little extra aggression, because why not? Gonna pat the stats. SK Gaming taking another game on the board. This is shocking, Ark. We really haven't seen much life out of Zeta Division. Sure, a few pop-off Lily plays there, but set number 1 felt pretty good about the blue side, and now as set number 2 approaches, things are looking a little bleak for East Asia right now.
We didn't cast yesterday together, Kenny, and I don't know whether you were aware, but 2 of my matches were sweeps, and 1 was a 3-1, so it might be a curse.
We bounce back here, brother. We bounce back today.
We need to see more from Zeta, that's for sure. They're just playing a little bit less aggressive than what we're used to seeing from them, and SK Gaming are already capitalizing. Oh, as I'm saying that, a beautiful pickup, double pull there from Levi, and now OP is so low, having to heal up on that right-hand side, but a shaky start there from SK.
Much more even footing. Duel on the top right-hand side, 2 tanks going at it. Ope, double barrel, now charging up that health point. Suzuku does have a hypercharge super, gonna elect to use it right now. Ope falls. Levy still holding strong in the mid. Chitampo, low HP, gonna have to recover. A perfect shield being placed for him, though.
Look at that from OPE, straight into the action yet again. An aggression onto Chitampo, who's then going to fall. Hypercharge from him as well onto Levi. I'm not sure how he's going to fare. Low HP now, as in the meanwhile, Joker and Yoshi take care of business. Some gems sitting in the mid there as well. Oh, a nice connection there from Yoshi as well. A nice bomb onto the Chitampo, who's going to have to be healing up. 3 gems now sitting, but they can't go in. Levi surely has got gadget to hand, and that pull is devastating.
Oh, and the long-range takedown! Beautifully executed by Joker. And now a middle contestant as well. Suzuku all alone. Ope dashing away on the right-hand end. Shot clock available for Zeta Division. They have to act fast. Chitampo on the left-hand end. Levi popping a hypercharge. Dangerous. Here they come. Flash flying shots on the left-hand end. A dive forward. Lily secures one. Joker in trouble. Ope has to roll away. Unsuccessful. Zeta with a heist.
Daylight robbery, a montage from Levi, just the nick of time as well. Yoshi can't contest that whatsoever. And now finally the lights are on for Zeta, but they've got to ensure this countdown. SK Gaming now pushing forwards, and Yoshi has got a Super Bowl. What is it going to be? What is in the back pocket? It's going to be a slow as well, and OP has now got hypercharge going in. He should be able to connect with this. Will the other reset? They drop the gems, and they're all scattered. But Zeta still protect them in the back pocket. There's still time, SK can recollect, but that was close.
Here we go again. Levy with a takedown on the left-hand side. 6 seconds on the clock, and Ope finally has a super. Here he goes, barreling forward, makes the mark. It's enough to not get a takedown, though. Just within striking distance, and Zeta Division have life.
Call me biased, but I'm glad for Zeta there because they needed something of a little bit of a lift.
We gotta get you that 3-2, brother. One game at a time, brother.
Start the day with a 5th and final set. Definitely much, much better from Zeta, but far from out of the woods. This set very much still all up for grabs, but that is the best we've seen from them so far today.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm sure Brawl Nation is right there with you. SK Gaming and Zeta Division. It's set number 2, all tied up. Yoshi owning this left-hand lane as Suzuku tries to encroach on enemy territory. Joker, backlines. Ope now has a supercharge up. He can get sneaky too. Gonna be rolling right on down. Ooh, a little missed mark there. Will make the connection. It's a great counter into Buster, and he does get the elimination, but it was a little unclean.
Yeah, unusual to see OP making mistakes, but a couple of pixels off in that regard. But the gems pretty much even at this present moment in time. OP is actually going to slide into one. Definitely not the ideal gem carrier to have, but now those gems dropped this 4 into the pocket of Levi. Joker has the magic hand, and that's definitely got to be a concern, but realistically, who are we going to necessarily want to pull in this situation?
No easy ones. Now Suzuku approaching the enemy side. Gets right in the face of Yoshi. Does have a hypercharged super, just suiciding. Ooh, the pull goes through. Instant reaction there at a Joker, and they'll pick up a nice frag.
Has taken care of some of the bush, though, on their spawn side. Might not be great necessarily for them, but definitely worth doing. Zeta all hunkered down again, as Levi has got hypercharge. OP going in with the shielding, but gets taken care of very, very swiftly. And now a response of Zeta's zone going in with there with a hypercharge Buster. And now Lily is lurking, gonna find Yoshi surely here. And Yoshi comes out with 450 HP, low on that side of things, and depending upon the body blocking of his teammates. Look at the gems now, just 2 more for Zeta, and they'll be on countdown.
Chitampo with a cheeky little gadget. Ape going to be rolling in. Not enough, though. Suzuku there to recover for his teammates. And Levi will pop one more shield to grab this countdown.
Oh, that's a nice time there from Levi to be able to utilize that montage. But SK Gaming cannot get gems from them. They've got to go, go, go. OP uses one to, he's got another one in the back pocket. Suzuku's going to fall down, but the gems are still safe and sound. For now, for Zeta, they should be able to hold on. As SK Gaming have run out of time. And the set goes to Zeta. And we're all tied up. Did you see that?
Yeah. Sorry, folks. Been at this for a while, but even I'm speechless with this crowd. Capacity crowd here in DreamHack Dallas. This is more of the Zeta division that we're used to seeing. They looked bad in that game number 1. I mean, left-hand side was so fierce. An interesting composition as well. They used Finks on the lane. We're used to seeing him be a point guard right down the middle of the map. Instead, it's Levy. 20 gems in that pocket throughout. He had to be the aggressor, the defender. This man did it all.
And you've got to ask yourself the question, because of that very reason, going back to the draft, when SK Gaming first picked Chester, they could have first picked Buster. And it was definitely a bold decision on their part, but one I do not feel paid off. Can I just say as well, I want to see more cards in the crowd. I mean, that was took me off guard. It was absolutely brilliant. But seeing some of the humor and some of the OGs in the crowd has been fantastic this weekend.
Y'all are rock stars, all y'all attending here at DreamHack Dallas. Big time crowd on this Saturday, showing out for SK Gaming versus Zeta Division, 2 #1 seeds, 2 monthly finals apiece so far this year, and now entering a crucial set number 3. This isn't win or go home per se, Arc, but this certainly means more. It's a guarantee for another day, a top 4, where LCQ spots are on the line, World Final spots are on the line, regional pride on the line. Both these teams showing a great fight for that.
Yeah, keeping seed is so important in this competition. You know, looking ahead of things, you know, if Humble come out with a win later on here today, then, you know, that's going to matter. If you win this matchup, you're going to probably be able to avoid the world champions, and I think that's probably a good spot to find yourselves in. Then up to Kaboom Canyon next then for Heist. A much closer set in Gem Grab. As SK Gaming had a very good start, which slowly is now diminishing. But I think it came down to draft, in my opinion. We saw Zeta have not necessarily the best of drafts in Bounty, but one that was more of a comfort idea. Going into Heist now, this is going to be a much better place for me, I feel. Zeta like to play the long game quite a lot, and they've got a lot of great sharpshooters. So in terms of SK's strategy coming in, they need to make sure that these bans are on point.
Some of those unique picks as well. Bonnie has certainly risen in the ranks. A very fun one to play here, and also, according to the balance changes, has now become much more viable. Amber certainly in the mix. Melody, an old-timey one that's aggressive, and I know East Asia loves to cater towards. It's going to be in the ban stage, though. No Lily, no Finks, no Eve. Very unique bans on that left-hand side.
Well, the Eve ban's not too crazy because it is basically the highest win rate for SK Gaming here. Colette coming in. Love that pick from them. But Angelo's still not banned out here. And that's definitely a Zeta Division pick for sure. So interesting that they didn't want to go for that despite banning the Eve, which is, you know, primarily what you'd like to see. But always good to see a Chuck ban. Lily ban here, I think is absolutely necessary here as well. But that Melody being banned out by Zeta is an interesting one. It's certainly one that they would like to have picked themselves. So definitely was... With the coin toss, I imagine on their side, kind of considering to opt against it. Carl, going to be open here as well. First pick from Zeta. Love to see that particular brawler. The amount of aggression, the hypercharge, of course, the hot coals on the safe. It can shred through that stuff.
Another one I'm looking out for here is going to be Angelo. Going to be a direct matchup into Colette, and especially now with the change to Heist. We're not necessarily always prioritizing just burst damage on that Heist safe, right? Angelo's somebody that can bring that control, and it used to be, I was a little hesitant, because if you're just playing to win the map, well, there's still a comeback mechanic. Supers like Colette, like Crow, not in our current meta right now. So I don't actually mind these more control-based brawlers, and Amber kind of a hybrid of both of those.
I was thinking there could have been a Bonnie there for Zeta. We saw it yesterday, and it did kind of work out pretty well. It's still going to be available, I imagine, for this. But, oh, actually, SK going to pick it up first. Did not see that one coming. That's definitely a Zeta pick to have, and Angelos will... SK kind of taking the playbook away from Zeta here, I feel, somewhat. The Amber's not a bad shout from Zeta, but I was absolutely expecting the Bonnie and the Angelo to be on the side of Zeta.
Well, I think Colette scares them off of the Bonnie, so in return, Zeta Division go away from it. Colette, obviously pretty good into those beefier brawlers, right? So just cuts through that HP of Bonnie win with Clyde. And when it's in the Leon-esque form, it's a little trickier. Here comes an East Asia special, though, folks. It's going to be Charlie. This one's always an interesting one, and I'm still hesitant on it because the win rate just hasn't come through. In terms of logic, on paper, Spiderlings are great into all three of these single-shot brawlers. Cocoon never hurt, but it just hasn't had the performance we've been looking for, but maybe Zeta Division are the key to unlocking it.
They're just trying to shut down Bonnie, leave the Charlie on defense the entire time. The Cocoon going to be great into, into the Colette, going to be great also then into the Bonnie. But I agree with you. We casted the last monthly final in this region, and we saw it so much. And as soon as that monthly final was over, no other region was doing so. But it was primarily successful, mostly in Heist. So I don't necessarily mind it, but it is a heavy risk, no doubt about it.
Set number 3 underway. 2 #1 seeds and some of the best on the planet going at it here on our Saturday morning. Joker, instant elimination, dive in from Ope. It's a team wipe early for SK Gaming.
A little tippy tap on the safe there from Yoshi. And again, with Bonnie's rework now, OP able to go straight back into cannon form and hold down Fort. Popping a gadget, yet again getting some good hits down to Tampo as well, and almost narrowly escaping there. Levi as now the fly hook from Tampo goes in. Yoshi gonna have to do some work here on defense. It gets a lovely tap, a very important one at that, because that is where Carl really wants to sit.
All things considered, they only give up 13% on that high save. Could have been much worse for them. SK Gaming now, once again contesting for the mid. Ooh, Joker with perfect precision. Nicely done down the left-hand sideline. Now Joker exploding. Super available, connects for 10, and they'll pierce through that first set of heist damage.
Very important time to get through that stack on the safe, as now they can regroup and continue the assault. It's quite concerning for me that Zeta have not got a single scratch on the safe. And really that playmaker is going to be Tampo now. There's Shizuka coming in, the hypercharge as well. But missing some of these shots quite crucially so, gets the one that he needs to land the Cocoon. But Yoshi then pulls him back out immediately so. There's a hypercharge of the safe. 44% is all that is left on the Zeta Division side.
Oh, they're going to have to pop off here too. Several layers of this onion to get through on the high safe. Levy, left hand in, dueling with Colette, lands the easy tags, but still struggling. Now Shitampo off to the races down on the bottom side of the map, looking to get past that 75% and does. Job first done, but still a long way to go.
Yeah, it's so far behind in that regard, and SK Gaming has been so consistent. Look at that from Suzuku. A nice Cocoon allows him to spend all his time onto the safe, and the Spiderlings going in there as well. It's going to make it a lot harder for Yoshi to be able to get his job done. Finally finds the tap, and Sugar flies in to secure it regardless for SK Gaming, who gets this game on the board.
I think Charlie's going to have to play pretty darn perfect to make this work. Look, it's just a brawler that I don't believe is high enough on the tier list. I love it on paper. It's something that I feel like you, me, all of us have brought up the last couple months. Other regions just didn't believe in this brawler. East Asia really the only one, and Zeta Division, oddly enough, were a team that I feel like never actually used it on their run to monthly finals win last time. It makes sense. I love the extra spawners, but in terms of high save damage, it's not crazy unless you get down the sidelines. It's just so much range you have to outgun.
Speaking of the draft, it makes sense, like you say, but it's just not bringing enough bargaining power for Zeta Division here, as SK Gaming is just able to pack the punch. Chitaba goes in, and that shot from Yoshi not going to be enough to seal his demise, so OP now just making up for some lost time, but that was a swift takedown regardless. Spiderling's going to buy a little bit more for Zeta, but Joker takes care of business, and now healing up in the mid. Yoshi got super as well, certainly going to be a welcome gift. That poison going to trickle down on the side of Zeta if they need it. Oh, one pierce there as well. Tampo's now low HP, and already a first stack of that safe is down on the side of Zeta's safe.
This is trouble for Zeta Division. Now dropping some Spiderlings on the right-hand side. Chitampo playing Carl into all these long-range brawlers, and without a lot of walls to bounce off, no close quarters combat makes it much more difficult. Now he's going to be taking off, going right down to the other side. 1150, they're just going to dip. This is an interesting choice, but if SK Gaming can match in terms of damage, I mean, they're already ahead. There goes Colette, down below 30% now. They're just continuing to pummel away.
And Zeta safe is now down to the final stage. This might not be a base race that Zeta can win, but Chitampo's got to stay there. OP's choosing to leave him as well, and I think it's the right call because SK Gaming are tapping. 3% is all there is left, and this set will be done. OP misses the shot. Now he finds it 1%, and this should be okay. SK get it done. They get the set 2-1 now in their favor.
daunting set of the day, I would say, for Zeta Division. It never felt great in the draft for me. And by all means, these guys are the pros, but I just feel like there are a lot of holes to poke in that. And even though it was 3 just single-shot brawlers on that left-hand side, I feel like the Colette pick first kind of locked out Zeta Division because that was a Bonnie frequent pick for them in practice this week. So maybe throw them off their game a little bit. I mean, 2 solid brawlers, Amber and Carl. I just don't know if this is the best spot for them. And then again, the Charlie to end things off, it isn't cutting it for me.
It made some sense in terms of like the counter, but it just wasn't good enough. And like I said, we were watching that monthly final where it was used so heavily in East Asia, and it just wasn't warranted in every other region. And I think it's time to let the Charlie sit. It's not seeming to work. And for SK Gaming, what an important step that was. They can continue to keep this pressure on. And for Yoshi as well, I've got to give a huge shout out to him because it's not an easy brawler to make work in Heist, certainly not into what they were playing with. So to have that Angelo really tap in the way that he did, I think having that as a valuable defense went a long, long way. Heist is done, triple dribble for Brawl is up next. Certainly, Brawl is a mode that springs to mind as one that favors SK quite heavily. But, I mean, for Zeta, they have got tricks up their sleeve. We've seen this, but now the Shade thing is kind of getting a bit old, in my opinion. It is so obvious to see that I think that SK, if they don't ban it, are going to have a strategy against it no matter what.
Both of these teams are going to be well equipped for it. It's something they practiced a lot leading up into this. Obviously, Zeta Division kind of known for it, for pioneering it a little more recently. So I do think brawlers like Hank, Jackie, Shade, all going to be kind of in the rotation somewhat for either picks or bans. They're all kind of associated with each other. So curious to see if those tanks or aggressive brawlers come through. Chester also a frequent one. Of course, we have to keep our eye out for Finks. It is Brawl Ball, but I just feel like he's such a valued brawler by our pros right now that he could be at the top of leaderboards.
We saw in the BBL as well that Willow was played a lot by SK, and that's one of the brawlers that's really high up in the win rates for Zeta Division at 88%. For SK Gaming, Frank is a common pick at 80% as well, so looking for that. And for them themselves, their most played brawler in scrims was Shade. So they saw Zeta, and they were like, okay, we see why that works so well. I'm assuming it's going to be banned from both sides, as they both clearly want to play it. I want to see a Kenji ban, I want to see a Lumi ban. They are, of course, the common culprits, but I wouldn't be opposed to a Chester ban here. I think that the tanks can come out to play for sure, and to be banning out B and others for counter purposes can go a long way. Buster as well, certainly one on SK Gaming's mind here, but as the bans come in, they are the heavy hitters to consider.
Lots of throwers can come into play here too. You mentioned Willow, a shocking one that's shown up quite a bit. I'm gonna keep my eye out for Dynamite. Not gonna call it too early by any means, but if you want a thrower, real possibility. Of course, with the bans coming through, no throwers being banned, so probably not at the top of the list unless they see something super that they really want to pull out. So Juju, Willow at the top of mind for me here if they want to go thrower. No Hank. Jae Young getting the surprise ban, I would say. It feels like EMEA have used him more that I've seen in practices recently, so that might be more a selective ban.
Certainly for Brawl, I feel like it's his best mode, so I'm kind of expecting it to be seen a fair amount. Like I say, in EMEA, certainly been utilized a lot, so fair play on Zeta to be able to spot that one in their data. Lou gonna come in. Certainly not the first brawler that springs to mind on this kind of map and mode, to be completely honest. It is saying, well, we are ready to counter your tank, but B is still available for that same reason as well. So keeping the walls is where Lou's gonna thrive, but if SK Gaming wants to go with some wall break options and maybe even have a stew with a bit of wall break potential too, then how much is that Lou gonna be able to do?
I mean, they could literally pick B right here, and not only is it a good brawler to counter out tanks, but it's also a good matchup in the Lou. So I do think question marks on that first overall pick. Again, Lou not a bad brawler, but with Hank out of the way, that's going to be one of the more traditional counters. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, I like B matchup. Now they get anti-tank as well. B's just a great brawler, one of the higher picked ones for a reason this weekend.
It just feels like Zeta might not be on point with their draft, but let's hope that they are cooking up something hot that I'm not seeing through. And then we go to the final set. I'm biased. I am. And there's the Shade. Yeah, it's one of those things that was not banned out by either team. And as we were saying, you know, it's a high top pick for SK Gaming. They play it the most in scrims. It's got a 68% win rate for them. So certainly it's going to be taking a lot to show Zeta how it's done. But I like the pick.
Jackie's certainly on the table here for Zeta Division, I think. It's a traditional way to go against the Shade here. The problem is if they draft it early, now SK Gaming have a chance to respond. So this is a tricky spot, I would say, for Zeta Division. That's a good 2-3 turn there for SK Gaming. Do they go with their choice of Flare for aggression? Do they build some health points up? It is going to be that Jackie. Yeah, I just feel like it's a natural counter. When you see Shade, folks, you got to think Jackie. It's just one of the better ways to deal with it.
Jackie didn't have the best of games yesterday, though, for North America. But I still feel like the brawler has got a lot of potential. No heals, though, currently for Zeta. And that's kind of where I'm thinking next. Or potentially something of a tankier option as well. Let's see how they want to fare this through, but I feel that Jackie's weakness is like being able to break through some of that cover, and that's an SK Gaming final pick to decide as to whether they want to go for it. Ollie going to be coming through for Zeta Division as well. It's actually got quite a low win rate for them in scrims, but nonetheless, I feel the Brawler has got so much weight to be able to throw behind this situation. But again, little healing on the side of Zeta. For SK Gaming now, a chance to see through this, and they've got the B, but they want to keep the walls is kind of where I'm seeing this go.
I wonder if they go for a flashy little primo here on the top of mind just to kind of dive in, have a goal scorer. Obviously, they got shade for that aggression. I think thrower would be a toughie. Ooh, Frank could be a spicy one too. Oh, instead we're just going to bring the big bad shotgun. Goodness gracious. What a direct answer into both Ollie and Jackie. I just never think of Shelly because it's just, you know, not an S-tier brawler by any means. It's the first brawler we all unlock in the game, but SK Gaming unafraid, shooting fearless here. I think it might be a pretty wise choice.
The big barrel of boom is going to be wielded by OPE, and in my opinion, he is the best Shelly player in the world, which sounds like a weird thing to say. I know it, I get it. It's the first brawler that you get in the game, and one that we rarely see in Brawl esports, aside from 2023, that little period that we had there, for good reason. But OPE is absolutely insane with Shelly, and I just really hope that Zeta are prepared for this, because I think they're going to struggle.
Expect action. Lots of aggressive brawlers here. Yashi already with a big sting available as Levy just clings to that L-shaped wall. Shatampo already on the back heels and Ollie rotating, trying to find the perfect matchup. Everybody making adjustments. Nice jukes. Joker, super available. Activates it now, piercing through the wall. Gadget goes through. Levy dumps the ball off on the right-hand side. SK still with an opportunity to get one through.
Great round old hive there as well from Yoshi, and great taps to follow things up. Nice slow connection, and there's the splash that we were hoping to see from OPE. Suzuki there surviving there on a slither. The amplified shot from Yoshi still available here, but going to miss one, healing up as well, and it goes down to Suzuki. Nicely done there from Zeta, a good defense, but so much cover now has been blown open, and as time goes on, this game is not going to favor Zeta, not by a long shot.
SK Gaming unwavering on offense so far. Zeta Division have to claw their way out of their spawn side. They have yet to show signs of the other end of the map. Jackie just with no range. Ollie has to have that super to be a looming threat, and Lou, such a big ask of him to be perfect here. There's the buck blast going through. Joker piercing through the walls. The pull goes through, the natural counter. Jackie, a great answer into that shade.
Well, Zeta are holding on somewhat for dear life as we approach the 1 minute mark left, but one thing I've got to say is, like, in overtime, they're not going to have a great time of anything at all. They've got to push now. Oliver with and he allows it, throwing the needle, a lovely bounce, and they get it for Zeta. Lovely stuff, but there is still time for a response, and if SK can get it in overtime, this is not going to go well for Zeta.
Unbelievable click of the button there. It was looking so bleak for Zeta Division. Now all of a sudden a little confidence exuding out of them. Pocketing this ball top right-hand side though. Goes with the ice rink down the other end. He has to hit these shots on Joker. Luckily for him, Joker's gonna have to take the time to heal. Jackie, respawn, sprinting right at the enemy side. Just has to go straight towards these walls because otherwise not a chance.
Good taps from Joker going in there on Suzuki. Rail Hive coming around again, but just shy there of Levi, who's going to get the ball. 20 seconds, SK have got to push this methodically slow. There's the hypnosis as well, so Yoshi's out of play, but the ball passed through to Joker, surely healed, just straight in from OPE, and now the ball is all tied up in terms of the goal with 10 seconds now. The boxes go down. Zeta have got to push for this really early.
This is going to be exactly what they do. Zeta Division know they don't have the range, so they attack early. Levy, hypercharge though, a dive in from Suzuki. They're looking for the pass forward, and Zeta punches through the net. What clutch mechanics out of the Wizards.
They had one shot realistically there, because if that wasn't a goal, it was certainly going to be one for SK. Zeta get the lead in this set of a comp that I'm still not convinced by. And SK should feel confident for that reason, because I think that they look stronger for me. But they've got to get this wrapped up fast enough. They cannot allow this to linger out because, well, they can if they want to play defensively, but it's still a bit risky to do so against a team like Zeta. And already a very promising start, as already only one member of Zeta still remains. Hypnosis still going to connect. Structure has to walk this through, and that is a very early goal in the first opening 25 seconds.
SK Gaming not going to be playing with their food any longer. An instant tap there, goal in sub at 30 seconds, and once again, Zeta Division going to be pushed back. A little bit of luck, obviously, with the incredible bounce shot there to push them into overtime. Perfectly timed aggression, but Joker, same can be said for him. Kicking off to the right hand, and Shatampo so low, though, they really can't make a move for this ball. It's left to Suzuki, who's just going to throw it away. A hop, and now he has his super available. It's still not enough, though. Joker moving towards the top of the map, buying time. Thankfully, Zeta were able to respawn.
Certainly felt that could have been a goal there for SK Gaming, but playing it slow again, not the worst idea in the world with the comp that they are running. Tempo low, Joker knows it going in, but the freeze is going to force him back out there as Levi then forces him back in and gets the takedown as well. Yoshi with the amplified shot, quite wide there on Suzuki for me, but now the slow going to help things out there for sure. Oh, great timing there on Tempo, but now Jackie comes in for Levi and gets behind OPE. A great timing of the super there, seals the deal.
Zeta Division have to take advantage. They've been cornered the entire time. It's just been a game of hot potato on defense. And Chitampo, once again, going to be in a 2v1 scenario. Ope dishing out damage. Levy moving up the middle of the map. A pull goes through. Ope goes down. 3v2 situation. Hypercharge available for Chitampo, but Yashi taking advantage of the matchup.
Yeah, crucial tap for that reason as well. He's going to be staying eyes on Chitampo, but he's now pushed himself forward. That hypercharge is going in and it's going now. It's going to freeze out OPE as well. The ball from Yoshi. Hypnosis there from Suzuki, but it's going to be him all alone versus two. Hypercharge from OPE. It's going to be able to get the ball clear for now. But that was a valiant attempt from Zeta, but no ball. 30 seconds on the clock, and Zeta needed a goal.
SK with complete control of the ball and the middle of the map. Supers available. Yashi just going to pop a rattled hive for safety here. Zeta Division have to get aggressive.
Connection there from Yoshi, slows down Chitampo, and it's OP that comes in with the stealing of it. And 10 seconds now as we approach things. It's not going to be any time at all for Zeta. That ball is firmly in the pocket. There's not even enough time to get from one side of the map. There is a hypercharge though for Levy, and even he knows that that's not enough to get there to steal it. And now that means that SK move on to match point.
Front row loving it. SK banners flying here today. A lot of support for EMEA's #1 seed. They've made some incredible plays. They've gotten us to a set 4, but can Zeta Division deliver when it matters most? Win and off to day 3. SK Gaming just one away from pushing Europe to another.
Already a tough start. Zeta going on the aggressive, but Chitampo too low. A good slow from Yoshi, but he falls very, very quickly. It's now going to be OPE in the 1v3 to defend. And his teammates respawning in a good time for it. That was a very aggressive start from Zeta, and they need that to be able to survive this series.
Love Zeta Division shooting fearless right there. Unafraid to lose. Let's just get aggressive. Let's change something up. It's not working. And now Levy off to the races. Chitampo with ball. No! Ball's just short. There's too low of HP as well. They have to make this perfect. No! Blunder out of the Wizards. No way! Their mechanics best on the planet, but they faltered there.
Unbelievable from SK Gaming to be able to survive that one out, because that should have been a goal, in my opinion. Ball to the left, covered there by Chitampo as well, who has to do a big break from OPE. I feel like he might have wanted to get a bit more for his time. Jump there from Suzuki, not going to be doing too much. These taps from Yoshi really got to land to survive this, because Zeta mean business.
It was a perfect start. They got the eliminations, they had control, they had a goal, they let it go, and now these walls are slowly falling down. And it's just gonna get tougher and tougher. Suzuki without a super, not gonna be able to match. Joker can just shoot through these walls, and now Suzuki just pinned. It's gonna be a 3v2. Once again, back on the defensive. Ope popping that hypercharge, gotta be close to the super, there it is, but he's going skating. Chitampo shuts him down, response, and that ball's still pocketed on top left-hand side.
Joker go on the aggressive, will find Chitampo as well. If Yoshi gets involved here, it could lead to a goal, but no, if Lever coming back in off the spawn, has that hypercharge. If they get some of this wall down, OPE potentially going to the left-hand side to do just that. Now the hypercharge from Levi, keeping SK Gaming back. There's a nice jump there from Suzuki, who's going to be going for the ball now, and it's a bit wide open. Communication from SK was there, though, and they should be able to shut this down.
All of them staying alive. Slither of wall will keep Joker up. Oh, and a nice tap out of Yashi. Still 0-0. Sub 30 seconds to go, in Zeta Division clinging for space. If this gets to overtime, Arc, you got a B long-range gadget from Shelly, and on the other end you have Jackie. What are you supposed to do?
10 seconds. For Zeta, a tough situation as 2 men is all around the ball. Lever going to be pushing for this now, but does he have the gadget to go? Trying to get things whittled down. There's a big smash there from OPE. Again, no goal on either side. It's going to be neck and neck going into overtime.
Levy with an opportunity. Super shot available. Going to be trying to recharge that HP. Goes for goal, not even close. Stopped at the mark by Ope at the goalkeeper. Yashi, tax. 200 HP will keep him up. It's still ball control for Zeta Division.
OP's got the hypercharge as well. We know that additional speed can do, but Yoshi has got to tap these shots now. SK advancing. What a huge smash there with the hypercharge from OPE. And Joker has the speed, the slow from Yoshi, the taps into Levi. But still, Zeta stays standing with 30 seconds into overtime. Hypnosis there from Suzuki gets Yoshi taken care of. And this is a wide open chance for Zeta. The pass to Tampa with a knockback from OPE. Joker intercepts. The ball is wide. Yoshi's the last remaining hope for SK Gaming. And it's not enough in this set. Zeta comes back. They survive it out, but it's still not done yet.
Let's go the distance, Brawl Nation. Wouldn't expect anything less than 2 #1 seeds across the world. I'll be honest, draft diff, right? But these guys are just unbelievable. We saw the trick shot early on. Levy, despite in a brutal matchup against a Shelly, still a top frag for his team. Oh, by the way, Joker had 20.
Yeah, I saw that. I did spot it. And that makes you think, doesn't it, that after all that, what a brawler pick that Zeta love to champion on this very map, to get 20 takedowns that just still come short. You've got to reset that mental going into a 5th and final set. And SK for me are still the favorites, but it's about how they come in now mentally to this one, because that should have been their set. Like I said, for me, a bit of an outdraft. I'm surprised that the Lu was as effective as it was on the side of Zeta, to be completely honest. But again, comfort picks get it done. 80% of a win rate for them in that regard. And it proved its worth. To them come back under that kind of scrutiny is quite incredible.
Well, Joker's going to rise the ranks of best shed players on the planet. We had Shitampo on the other end. We saw some excellent work out of Chinese mainland. Now we head into one more set. There were some blunders along with this too, so I think the fact that Zeta Division somehow erased that from their memories, just keep grinding. I don't think there's a lot of teams on the planet that we could say SK Gaming has some hard matchups, some hard counters, some very favorable picks on paper, and yet the gameplay out of these guys, they're somehow always still in it. And I think a big game changer too, the emotion, the vibes. At Worlds, you kind of see it a little bit, but this just means a ton to East Asia. EMEA are a region of old. It's historic. We've got plenty of world champions. Shitampo's hungry, though. He left Crazy Raccoon. Let that sink in, folks. He left Crazy Raccoon for 2 players who have yet to make it past an LCQ, trying to make a reputation for himself, his team, and his region. And he's showing up in a big way.
I would even argue that for me, for Zeta, it means the most out of any region here, because they're so patriotic. For them to represent their country and to be able to bring something home in that regard for the World Finals, or slot at LCQ, for them, we've seen already in past that coming second, coming third, it's not an option for a team like Zeta. It's only first on their horizons. Anything less than that is a fail in their opinion. Despite it not looking like it from our perspective, it is from theirs, and that's the one that matters. So going in now to a 5th and final set. This is where it all comes down to. Open business for Hot Zone. And a chance to be done for the day for one of these 2 teams, but most importantly, get to the next round of the competition, keep their seed in that regard. No one wants to go to an elimination match up next.
Zeta Division burdened with carrying an entire region. SK Gaming first overall selection on open business, going to be the Lu. Now this is an interesting one to grab first. Be out of the equation, Stu no longer there. I think Lu is a safe one, not only for the mode, but Hank a very popular selection. This is a very safe one to deal with general tanks, but also especially him.
Double Finks ban as well. I think that's probably pretty wise, as we've seen such high play rates for that very brawler. The question between tanks and long range for sure now, going to be a question mark for Zeta, as that Lu going to be looming in over the situation. I still don't mind Bo in that regard, because the Lu's going to be taking up a lot of area control. For Zeta, it wouldn't be the worst idea to have something of that kind of thing for themselves. But Chester, they're going to have that kind of insurance policy with the B-ban. It makes a lot of sense. Primarily the best 2 tank counters, in my opinion, to have. Kind of favoring a little bit more towards the Chester than the Lu here, but in this kind of objective, it makes a lot of sense for SK Gaming.
Most frequent tanks we see on this map, Hank, Draco, and Frank. And obviously Draco surprising you and I, at least in the pre-show, with how frequently he has been picked. Always been a solid brawler, but not to that level. There comes the Hank, so Lu, a good answer. And the crowd love it. They love the Milkman. Good stuff, crowd. Love that.
I love the fact that we've just got that audience participation now when it comes to the balancings, and I'm sure Adrian is as well. Third and final pick still to come for Zeta, as SK Gaming now will take the mantle. The second pick coming in pretty swiftly. Again, I quite like the idea of the Frank myself. I think that would work relatively well into the Hank as well, just to keep that pressure on. But let's see what they're thinking. Draco, yeah, don't mind it. It's going to be either one of those two for sure. But the heals is where, for me, Draco thrives. And we haven't really seen too much of that. We were seeing Barry a little bit this past weekend, and that's where I would think that SK would be heading with this, just to ensure that Draco's survivability is there. Without that, it's a bit troublesome, especially against the Hank. And with that much HP, you need to stay standing on that zone. If you lose positioning power against the Hank, yeah, it was open. Unbelievable stuff.
How'd we miss it?
Yeah, that is going to be crucial for SK Gaming. And maybe Zeta might be a bit worried now.
Yeah, this is tough. A couple options come to mind. I think Pam's Scrapsucker gadget would actually be huge here into the Kenji in particular. I know that's bold, maybe not as necessarily a Zeta Division choice, but something we've learned through practices all throughout this week. Griff was on the top of mind as well earlier, but now that Kenji comes through, they're going to need all the damage in the world. They need a quick burst to deal with something like a Kenji, deal with something like a Draco. It's going to be Cordelius. Wow. Zeta Division selecting a brawler that by no means is bad, but certainly not a regular here. Nerf Hank, what's this? No. Yeah, I like that one better, the I love Hank.
Hey, buddy. Fred LC's in the building, and he'll come find you. Trust me. I'm worried. I'm going to bring it back down to business. I'm worried for Zeta. I don't know whether the Cordelius was part of their plan, part of their playbook. It feels more reactive than it does part of their strategy coming into this one. It just kind of feels like the Kenji may have been a bit of a misstep, a bit of a mistake, something which was overlooked in that regard. They're looking to try to take Kenji away from the situation, but it does worry me a little bit for Zeta here. It's not a common brawler to see in Hot Zone these days.
Battle of Regions, 2 #1 seeds, tackling a set number 5. Joker on the top left-hand side, and a Goat in his own right. Chitampo playing the Cordelius here. They've tasked him with playing one of the more difficult matchups that we have. Not an easy brawler to execute with, has a super available, but is SK Gaming taking over, especially with the Lou freeze.
Decent start for SK Gaming now. Levi frozen out there. It'll be easy pickings there for Joker. Lucas Suzuki very susceptible here. And OP doesn't even get to get involved. Plenty of time to heal up as well and let everyone else do their thing. As now the respawns coming in for Zeta. SK full control. So much utility as well in that regard. And now approaching 50%. Zeta are so far behind.
SK surviving there as well. Tried to make a big play out of Cordelius, just not enough. That's a good roll of the dice, though. Now they can drop the wall on that right-hand side. Suzuku sprinting down the sideline. Joker looking to meet him. Now an ice rink on the ground as well. It just makes it too tough to stand on it. You start skating with enemy brawlers there. Oh, and there's that hypercharge. Joker popping off with the big-time brawler.
Nice there from Joker yet again. And now as we approach 20%, Zeta are so far behind. They've lost all control. There's a supercharge there. A hypercharge for Yoshi going to connect on both Levi and Chitampo as well. Suzuki going straight into the eye of the storm against 2 members of SK Gaming. What can he realistically do? It's going to be match point for SK Gaming.
Another opportunity here for EMEA's #1. Felt like a pretty clean game. I mean, not a lot of positives, I would say, on the Zeta Division front. That was over in the blink of an eye. It's a difficult task, and then once again, similar to what we saw in set number 4, feels like a great draft out of SK Gaming, but will mechanics on the field prevail? Zeta Division are going to have to answer the call.
It looks a little bit defeated, in my opinion. Can they find something within themselves now to bring this back? Chitampo staying in position on the right-hand side. Nice connection there from Yoshi. Lovely stuff. Pinpoint precision. Gets the freeze. Ensures the takedown. And keeps these spawns cycling in for Zeta. Meanwhile, SK Gaming staying on their feet, staying on the zone. 20% now and climbing. And Zeta's not looking much different from the last round, in my opinion.
Noah found real no way to enter the middle. There's a takedown, a much-needed one. Chitampo, it's going to be a close call, not enough. Joker slices through him. Levy still remaining in the middle, though, building up some much crucial percentage points on that hot zone.
Well, OPE still on the zone against 3 members. Survived on for a pretty decent amount of time for me, but now we're all tied up. Zeta have got control, and the hypercharge for Tampo as well can choose who to eradicate. And Yoshi there, some area denial will slow the pace slightly, and that's the concern, but you see there, just going straight onto the zone, not too worried about it as everyone is down now. Tampo gets the aggression coming in for Zeta. 60% now as they're fighting back.
These boys can ball. No doubt about it. Suzuku having a much better game. Chitampo landing the mark, but Joker playing a very powerful brawler, and now they're back in the mix. Chitampo all alone on the left-hand side as SK Gaming have a full roster of 3 stacking the mid.
Joker low, and Chitampo then forces OP into the realm. Forced behind that wall, but it's SK Gaming that are still staying firm. Hank coming in now on the right-hand side for Suzuki now trying to find something, but not able to find the range. Just got to close the gap now. SK Gaming looking better as they approach now, with only 20% left on the zone.
They've got to force Ope out. He's barely alive. Suzuki brings him down, but the 1 HP marker keeps him up. Kenji diving in on the action, grabs the kill. It's going to be a 1v1 duel. Suzuki versus Joker, up in the air again. Looking to slice and dice. They bring him down. They have a hypercharge available. Missed mark out of Shitampo. Ope cycling in. It's back and forth the whole way. The entire Zeta Division roster skating, but they stay alive. Double match point.
It all comes down to one game of Hot Zone. For East Asia, for EMEA, this game means everything to stay in this upper stage of the bracket.
Here we go. Nice little 8 to 10% coming in for the red roster early. Suzuki once again battling Joker. Unbelievable. And he goes down, but most importantly, gets his team easy access to the hot zone. They're playing this objective so well.
Great start for SK. Objectively speaking, though, pretty balanced for the most part. As now Shitampo really is starting to cook on a pick that we're a little bit dubious of. Now Yoshi with a beautiful position there of that super. Suzuki's frozen out there, nowhere that he can go, just sitting duck on that top left-hand side. SK Gaming now creep towards 50%.
Things getting scary here as well. Well past that 50% marker, a gadget keeps Ope up, and finally, Zeta Division, a slight moment to breathe, but Joker right back in the action. Shitampo has that hypercharged Super 2, needs to land the mark. It's a must. They're gonna demand a lot out of their Great King.
Suzuki now keeping OP and Joker suppressed, but Joker has the hypercharge, and when he gets that super, you know it's going to be devastating. 60% now, a 10% lead for SK Gaming. Shitampo going to be coming on the left-hand side now, has the super to hand. He's got to take OP away from the zone, and does so successfully, but Yoshi still standing. SK Gaming going the aggressive. 80% now and closing. Zeta starting to fall behind a little bit here.
This is going to be tough. 85% in climbing. The blue side looking stacked in the mid. That's a crucial hypercharge, but Ope stays up. Oh! A big time takedown. SK Gaming, they just have to punch through. 6% to go. Can Zeta Division play perfect?
Imagine, Yoshi has the hypercharge. You got Joker going on the aggressive, finds a beautiful connection there, but frozen out, but on the zone. 97, but SK Gaming 99, and SK Gaming get it done! EMEA's finest put East Asia in the danger zone.
Incredible execution overall. Fist flying and Dallas on their feet. And SK Gaming will extend their march to global domination out east. And we'll tackle tomorrow with an undefeated record here at our Brawl Cup.
Unbelievable. Came down to the wire, and it genuinely could have gone either way. What a way for SK Gaming to start their day and to finish it, because they're done. They have not got to worry about anything more until tomorrow. That's going to be a beautiful night's sleep, isn't it?
Always feels a little bit better when you squeeze through with a win. It was close, though, and all things considered, Zeta Division, I feel like didn't have the drafts that they were looking for, but would love to hear what SK Gaming have to say about things. Let's send it over to our main man, Barney.
Thank you so much. We told you that we were going to bring you a clash of titans to kick off day 2 of the Brawl Cup, and you did not disappoint. Joker, first thoughts, how are you feeling right now?
Honestly, I think I've lost my voice.
Well, we'll do a quick interview, don't you worry. Now, I guess the most notable part of that match was, even after losing that gem grab, you guys still piled on the pressure, you kept the aggression up. I guess that's just the way you play, right? You didn't really deviate from just being hyper-aggressive all the time.
Yeah, we were trying to reset our mental after losing that set, also after losing the 4th set, because honestly, I think like we could have won 5-0. Like the sets we lost were definitely winnable. Yeah, just frustrating to lose like that, but if we keep our game style the same, we will win the next sets also.
Yeah, I think I see your point, and I think I bumped into Yoshi earlier today on the way to the arena, and he actually said, "I just want to play them now. Like, I'm ready. I want to play them now." You guys seem so prepared at the moment. Do you genuinely feel like this is your year? This is SK's year?
I mean, it couldn't have been better for now. This year has been insane, and we hope we can do the same tomorrow.
That's right. Give it up for Joker and give it up for SK Gaming DreamHack Dallas. Let's go back over to the desk. We've got more games to play.
Thank you, Barney. Those are the words of a winner. SK Gaming takes it to the day 3. Unfortunately for Zeta Division, that means they're going to have to face up against Elevate in the lower bracket later today. What a photo finish it has been in that set number 2. Double swoosh, Ope with the hypercharge. The spray still hits the buster, but Levi survives it very, very barely. And then set number 4, Brawl Ball. Joker gives Zeta Division a little taste of their own medicine with the shade absolutely popping off. And still, he seemed quite calm now at the end of this match.
Joker's always a very reserved kind of guy and a very modest guy at that. You know, he just is the kind of person to keep his eye focused on the objective at hand. And the job's not done as far as SK Gaming are concerned. That is sure for me. And going to the night, going back home to the hotel, certainly they're going to be eyes on the draft, eyes on the prize for tomorrow and working through their objective.
And in the end, the Kingslayers claim victory over the Mechanical Geniuses. And what else would be nicer than to also listen into their voice comms from that very last set?
Go les amis, he's on full mid on you, on full mid, full life, full life. Top mid, top mid, top mid, top in mid, top in mid. Okay.
Ik ga hyper.
Okay, chill. We don't force it, waste time.
Go in.
A lot of energy and excitement from the boys from SK Gaming. This clash of titans delivered an almost finals-worthy match. I wouldn't be too surprised to see both of them rematch in tomorrow's finals. First up, though, you got to vote once again on event.brawlstars.com for the MVP of this match. And it's the voice we just heard. It's Joker.
Well deserved. I mean, obviously the Shade gameplay was elite despite losing in that set. I like that Joker was kind of hard on them though, and I do agree. I feel like they had a lot of drafts and had a lot of winnable moments that they just didn't quite get over the hurdle. That's just what happens when you play such esteemed players like Zeta Division. It's never easy to bury them.
I agree. I feel like for me, SK Gaming are just that team to keep an eye on for me. I've always had them down to be in the grand finals. I'd love to see EMEA versus EMEA grand finals. But I mean, like you said, Zeta Division could well come back around to be in that grand finals and have a grudge match.
We're having a look now one more time. Group A is almost over. Our group phase here. SK Gaming takes the win here, 3-2. We had to go all the way to the very last set here, to the very last round, double match point. And again, Zeta Division, we're going to see them later today playing up against Elevate.
Yeah, which is going to be NA's last hope.
Revenge.
NA hope. Hashtag.
That's what we have.
Get it going.
Once we're wrapped up today for the Brawl Cup, it's not over just yet. We're going to have another little show match for you. Brawl Arena, the second look at this very new, brand new game mode in Brawl Stars. And it's a super cool treat because we're going to have 100 Thieves versus your favorite Brawl Stars creators of Tribe Gaming. I'm super excited for that one. Next up is going to be our next match of Group B, though. It's going to be humble and it's going to be loud. DreamHack Dallas, are you ready for some more Brawl Stars esports? Today, this is the epicenter of our all-world Brawl Stars it is. And we're gonna have a super cool format for you. Day one is already over. We had some very tight matches. Today, it's even closer. We get our fair deal of close matches today, I feel, starting out with a 3-2 at the beginning.
I was due one, wasn't I, really, after yesterday?
Yeah, you were, buddy. Yeah, you were.
I'm glad it was those two teams, in my opinion. Of course, now for SK Gaming, their job is done, but we move over now to Group B. Top four, of course, from today will proceed into that bracket, and that's when the elimination really starts to kick home. For Zeta Division, they've got one more chance today to be able to see it through against Elevate for Group B now. Humble versus Loud, and Toxic Lotus will still be lurking in for later on.
Should be an interesting one, to say the least. I feel like still some question marks about this Loud squad, because Tribe Gaming went 0-2 yesterday. That was a shocker. The #1 seed from North America had not lost a single match the entire year, and then came here and went 0-2. Now Loud take on previous world champions. Definitely a level up in competition.
Loud definitely convinced us yesterday, beating none other than Tribe Gaming. They convinced me to vote for them today. It was also very convincing that Semantic literally came up to me and was like, don't you dare jinxing us. So there you go. Brawl also asked me to vote for Loud. So yeah, I make two people happy there. Win-win situation, really. On both, on both sides. We have a big difference in expectations from those two teams. One side is the current world champions. 2024 was their year. They have consistent performances in every single third-party event in their region as well. They didn't even drop a single match arc.
Yeah, they were getting very confident, though, in their media day. I noticed that less humble now than they were last year, but I think they got every reason to it as well. Little fun fact as well about Humble. I mean, they've never actually played against South America at all. Only Lukey in the LCQ of 2023 has played against Datus FA. But for Semantic and for Boss, they've never played this region.
Honestly, kind of a fun fact. Didn't know that. Should be interesting to see how it goes down. Loud, obviously, a massive organization entering the fray here in this year's Brawl Stars competition, picking up this squad. And early on, they kind of stumbled a little bit. So the fact that Humble get the opportunity to take these guys on, one of the better South American teams we've seen in a little bit here. I mean, obviously, it's been a little bit of a reversal. EMEA have had consistent results. And on the other hand, Loud and South America have not.
As we saw as well already today and yesterday, Finks very much up there, and a beautiful pick from Humble, one that they tend to champion quite a lot, and the aggression of the Max combined with that Buster, as we've seen already today, crucial to have in your draft.
Humble very often brings in those new ideas, the Barry, now the Finks. They were the first ones to play him, now he's everywhere. On the other side though, South American powerhouses Loud. It's time to showcase South American strength. They already clawed their way with a very close 5-set match into the Brawl Cup, had to reverse sweep one of their opponents. Yesterday, it was also a 3-2 set in the end against Tribe Gaming. They had to play 14 out of 15 possible sets in the monthly finals to be here today again. It's just awesome what they're showing us, Kenny.
Some serious all-team cardio coming out of these fellows, because they have gone the distance. I mean, 14 of 15, and then yesterday, thank goodness they won, because they deserve that rest. They probably needed that rest just to get them into day two.
We wanted to know from them what it means to them to take that extra slot for World Finals home into South America.
Eu acho que ter spot extra é muito importante, porque a gente ganhando, a gente faz os times da região torcer pra gente ganhar também, que aumenta a nossa confiança, e a gente ganhando também pode mostrar pro mundo como a América do Sul pode ser forte, né? De certa maneira.
Inclusive, se a gente ganhar, a gente já vai estar direto no Mundial, então já vai estar muito bom, que a gente já vai estar garantido, né? Daí dá pra relaxar.
We want to look at one man in a bit more detail here. His experience is invaluable to Loud.
Yeah, and of course, when you look back through Firecrow's career, you know, going back to 2021, that was the best performance of South America prior to yesterday. So, you know, going for this World Finals, it wasn't the easiest of journeys for them. Definitely a lot of sore memories in that regard, but a chance of redemption now.
Now it's time. Let's welcome Humble and Loud to the stage.
Dynamite performances from both of these teams on day one, but can they keep that momentum going? It is Loud versus Humble! On the side of Loud, we have Kyodog, Edinio, and Firecrow. Representing Humble is Boss, Lukey, and Semantic!
our world champion versus Loud, that has shown us yesterday that South America has more to show off than we might have expected, Kenny.
I mean, we talked about North America yesterday. We had Tribe and Elevate consistently all year, and it's been a ruckus over in South America. I mean, Loud have been contested all season long, winning their first monthly finals in a nail-biter, and a 3-2 to qualify for Brawl Cup, and then another 3-2 just to go the distance in the grand finals. Nothing short of competition over there. Maybe it's just a better region than we think, but this is the ultimate test. Defending world champions lie on the other end.
South America have got so much to prove. You know, when you look back to last year's World Finals, exiting both teams in that group stage, a devastating result for a region, and certainly one that took us all by surprise. We were expecting more from South America. And when you come back into a new season for 2025, you look back at that sort of performance and think, you know, we've got to really up our game now. We need to demonstrate to all the other regions that we are to be taken seriously here.
I'm just really looking forward to yet another close match, since Loud seems to like it that way. Every time it's a 3-2 with those guys, and we're gonna get some good matches today, I feel. We already got a first 3-2, so my day's already starting out great. I hope you were happy about it too, you too?
I mean, I know I'm always happy, but Arc was due one. You know, we talked about this yesterday. You ended up with a lot of donuts, but we have bounced back in a big way. And Loud are men of content. They're here for the people, if you will. The people of Dallas, the people at home. I believe they can get us to a 3-2. Let's do this.
They're just doing it so it's more exciting, right?
I like that. No, I'm about that.
It wouldn't be a Brawl Cup without me being able to, you know, raise my voice and say, oh my goodness me, at the top of my lungs, right? So I'm pretty happy about that result. And hopefully in this matchup as well, it goes the distance. Because again, for Humble, they're making it look a little bit too easy at the moment. As, you know, they are the world champions. It's to be expected. But, you know, they did drop us that yesterday. I kind of would like to see them drop 2 here today.
Honestly, I take it for a change. Usually I'm the one that always says, I want those close matches. I want to cast for as long as possible. Now I get to watch as much as possible and listen to your 2 beautiful voices, Kenny.
Well, thank you so much. Wonderful folks at Dallas as well. Oh, that's just disrespectful, by the way. Take notes, Bobby. Oh, no. Don't do that. He's already spinning out of control with North America's performance. He doesn't need that right now.
Ooh, what a close
juicy
prediction.
42% for the world champs. If my math serves correct, that means that they are the underdog in this scenario. 58% for Loud. South America community comes out strong here, and that is one thing that you cannot deny about a region like South America. They have got a lot of people rooting for them back home.
I think Humble want it that way. I think they even put out on social media, Loud is going to win today. They're rooting for their opponents just to anti-jinx themselves. Let's see if that strat is actually going to work out. We're going to start things off here on Out in the Open. Humble versus Loud, Kenny.
Humble are masterminds of social media, though. I don't know. I feel like the reverse jinxing, I'm not going to read into it too much, but nonetheless, they should be favorites. I'll absolutely take a value prediction of the defending world champions here and go against the grain of the folks at home. Here come the bans. No Kit, no Pearl. Those are 2 unique ones. Lumi, a very standard one. Angelo makes sense. Jae Young, it's dependent on the team, but Humble, I think a team that definitely uses this brawler more than most.
Is Humble social media currently indisposed?
Wait a minute.
Anyway, drafts coming in first pick for Humble coming in now. It's going to be Jean. Not a bad shout. Very safe pair of hands, of course, always. Not the kind of bold ideas that I've been seeing Humble demonstrating in their scrims, but Ollie is coming in for Loud, and that's up there as their most picked in scrims. The 60% win rate. Finks now coming in as well. That is a Humble special. They would have certainly liked to get that on the table. And if Loud hadn't picked it, that was coming up next. Pearl, one that kind of, for me, is a bit of a brawler which Humble, they banned out, and I think for good reason. But the Buster, that is one as well that I think was a pretty worthy ban. For me, Byron could be an option here. Go with the double heal idea to be Eve, that left-hand side lane. When Angelo's banned, I mean, that makes the most sense to me.
So they're going to grab Eve, who can traverse over that water. You pointed it out, Angelo out of the equation, so this is kind of the next best bet. I also like having spawners in general, though, in this spot. I think it's kind of a free supercharge to somebody like Ollie, where Eve can outrange, can obviously make it a little trickier for Ollie to use super if she can just walk behind the water. So curious to see how that interaction goes down. Jean, of course, always super safe and stable. And the visibility and the damage output. This is an interesting one. Meg's made a little bounce back, I would say, in our meta, and it makes sense to me in Knockout specifically, because Meg essentially has 2 lives, and when 1 life is really all every other brawler gets, it's nice that when you bring her down from the robot, you at least have another second leg.
Very, very North American, though. Byron still available here if they want to be able to heal up this Ollie going forwards. Gus as well wouldn't be a bad shot yet. Byron going to be coming through for Loud. I think that is going to be putting definitely Humble in a precarious position, as this is how South America like to work, just by being very, very aggressive. And as we know from this region, Byron are very staple. In fact, the very reason why we saw last year into the World Finals, the finale between various teams in South America being able to come out on top. I think that this now puts the Yoli in a much better position, and I'm a bit concerned for Humble. Let's see how they fare on the defensive, because certainly Loud are going to be going on the aggressive early on.
Defending world champions, taking on a hungry region, a squadron of players that have to put an entire continent on their backs. And only one team get a guarantee into tomorrow. And the fight starts here. Lukey off to the middle of the map, and Semantic putting the pressure on. Heavy machine gun fire up the mid. And Firecrow just getting aggressive here. Whoa, going for it.
That additional speed from the wall. He was, though, looking in a bit of a precarious position, as was Adino. I mean, he almost went down early on here. Gas will be coming in, surely. Boss has got super as well, so the hatchlings are going to be coming in. Vico can't really close the gap right now. These taps from Humble are definitely landing the mark. The spray of this leg, Semantic. Oh, what a pull there from Lukey as well, bringing it back. Leaving two members now of Loud for the pickings, and Adino very low on this left-hand side. Surely a little bit of a tap from Boss. All Lukey would do is to be Boss who secures it. Just Firecrow on his own now. I would suggest going back into spawn, because you don't want to be feeding into Lukey here.
No, they don't want to be giving up any more supers. Lukey getting a few extra taps there as a bonus. Firecrow now with super available, so that'll change interactions into this second one here. Boss can just travel over the water quickly. Again, why traversing over water is so important. Firecrow, though, just instantly getting aggressive. Here's the gadget choice. Yeah, that's it. He was looking for a dodge there. Has the super available. Now they're the ones putting pressure on Boss. Little extra speed due to the hypercharge. Adino in the back line. And it's Loud who started aggressive, but have been forced all the way back.
Now just these hatchlings force you into the back spawn area. And Loud haven't really been in this game so far. We need to see something of them. In that regard, it's going to be a game going the way of Humble. Firecrow again going out of position there and just surviving. Something that we noticed yesterday as well. Firecrow does outstay his welcome sometimes. Able to stay alive there with the help of Kyodog to get the heals coming in. Their time will not be on their side. Dino just baiting out with the springboard, going to be going in now. That might help out things a little bit on the right-hand side to get a flank behind things, but time is against Loud. They've got to go now. Down there goes Dino. It's going to be Firecrow there with the Hypnosis. The double connection, though, and that is going to be good, but not for them until Humble come back. Two men strong. They get the game on the board.
Easy first one from Humble. I think part of the reason why Firecrow is willing to get so aggressive is just to charge up that super. Obviously, he can dive in and pop a gadget and just get out. So as long as he has quick execution on the button clicking, he's going to be just fine, but still not enough. That Meg's second life really got him. Obviously, the gene pool going through could have been some real chaotic energy coming out, but Humble survived it all. Just too much to handle.
Loud need a new playbook. Good taps from Kyodog into Firecrow, keeping him alive, but they're playing a risky game for sure. But now forcing Semantic out of the mech, it's important, but Kyodog falls to Boss. That's the person you want to keep standing on your team, especially when you're trying to push through a tanky brawler like an Ollie. Firecrow now is going to have to depend upon this Hypnosis to try to synergize it with Adino. It's going to be a tough ask. These gene heals, this Meg back in mech, it's all going to be too much. Now Adino falls, leaving Firecrow all alone. This set is dwindling fast, Kenny.
Yeah, the underdogs not looking off to a hot start here. Humble with another round on the board. Just convincing stuff. Loud really haven't taken any situation or had any advantage at all. It's really just been Humble steamrolling their way through. Now Firecrow going for a bold strategy. And this gene pull, this is an opportunity. Firecrow has super available. Hops away. Teammate falls right in front of his face. Thinks, looking for tags. It's going to be a 3v1. Not a chance here. Humble sweep Loud away in our opener.
That was a little bit too convincing for me, Kenny.
Yikes.
Went from the last scoreline of a 3-2, but that was a swift set. I mean, there wasn't really any moments of opportunity there for Loud, and these stats, they're not going to look great. And in terms of the drop, that's what I was afraid of.
Oh, that's a tough screenshot to swallow. I mean, Lukey had 1 kill, and he had as many as the entire enemy team. Just a tough look.
Yeah. I don't think the draft was terrible. I think avant-garde brawlers like Meg and Eve, on this map are not really utilized nearly enough. They make a lot of sense. It's really, really tough to push into them. And now with Meg having the hypercharge, not the best hypercharge in the game at all for all intents and purposes, but nonetheless, it does help when you've got the spawnables coming in with Boss. And Lukey has always been a solid player on a Gene pick. Humble aren't trying anything too flashy just yet, and I think at this stage in the series, that's quite a wise decision. For Loud, we expected more for sure coming into this one. Despite not getting the games or the sets on the board, we kind of expected to see a bit more back and forth.
Look, Loud beat Tribe Gaming yesterday, a team that a lot of people gave credit to, but that just felt like a different level, different caliber of gameplay. Humble just seemed to be above right now, but we're only in set one. No fear just yet. Loud have certainly made us used to these set 5 situations, but it's a different story when you're taking on the previous world champions. We are heading off to Hot Zone, Dueling Beetles, the map where we will be taking, and it's going to be a few opportunities here for some good brawlers. Fink's certainly in the mix. We know that Humble love this brawler, obviously, but I think it's safe to say that our pro meta in general really try to cater towards it.
Yeah, tanks. But then again, South America are that region that wouldn't hesitate for a Griff, for a B, to break open things and just try to whistle things down, the long-ranged affair. Dueling Beetles, definitely a tough map to make work. I'm looking at Poco as well as one of those heavy healers coming in on this particular map. It warrants a ban for sure. Kenji's got to be banned here. Lou is definitely a brawler which is going to get played if it's not, so I wouldn't mind it. That particular brawler's out the mix as well, but Hank, Frank, these big heavy tanks, Barry as well for the heals. Stu as well, that's something that we saw yesterday with Tribe Gaming. They didn't value the Stu ban nearly enough, and Kyodok, in my opinion, one of the best Stu players in the entire world.
Seen some interesting compositions practice leading up into this event. You mentioned a few of the big bullet points, though. We have tanks, we have anti-tanks, Lou, B, Griff kind of being that Buster gets in there, but Barry comps certainly come to mind for both of these teams. I know that Loud have used them to get wins in the past. Humble used it in their World Finals debut. So this band stage is going to be very important. Draco, B, and Lou gone for the left-hand end. No Kenji, no Lumi, standard stuff. And then, of course, Fink's removed from the equation as well. So now it's up to Humble to make that first overall selection.
I want to see more cards just congregate over the course of the day. We're sitting in the front row just adding more as the matches go, which is great to see. But certainly, for me, Buster going to be available still here. The Lou and the B ban, big heavy tank counters already out of the equation. So I feel like Humble are cooking tanks. It's going to be Hank, first pick. Frank possibly soon to follow as well. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Loud don't pick it up. That could be one that is going to be going into the hands of Humble. But again, Poco, that healer. We've not really seen it valued nearly enough, but if that comes into the equation with 2 tanks and Loud aren't prepared for it with the counter, I'm actually really, really worried.
Yeah, I was 99.9% sure of a Hank first pick overall. When you look at Draco, a traditional tank that handles Hank pretty well, B, Lou, 2 of the top counters. Ashe is something that pro players have used, but on this map, I think it's a little trickier, especially as a standalone brawler. So I do think that this Hank overall selection is going to be mostly uncontested. They're going to have to get creative. Meg is where they head next. So now back-to-back sets where we see this brawler.
Interesting. I'm not overly convinced still, but maybe that's just my opinion towards the Brawl itself. It's not the flashiest, let's be honest, and one that many of the pros would prefer to not play, actually. Let's be completely honest. I mean, it's no Stu, is it? Let's be honest. I think Kyodok will be considering it, but against a Hank, yeah, they've got to pick the Frank. Otherwise, Humble are going to absolutely consider it as well. With so many counters out of the way now, it does allow Loud to be able to work a bit more with it. But Humble, of course, to combine with this Hank, Barry could be one of those options still available for them on the heel side, or the Poco. Combine that, Chester could be an option here as well to really counter out that Frank, especially with the bans they've got so far with the Lou, with the B. You need something to be able to have a heady hitter. Classy, that is what I did not see coming. Out comes the lobster. There is the Barry that we were expecting, but the lobster, the hypercharge is very, very strong and classy, no doubt about it. But prior to that, Kenny, a very, very mid-brawler, one that we wouldn't see necessarily in Brawl Esports.
So backdoor Barry was definitely on the table for Loud. Instead, they're going to go Barley, a very traditional choice. When you see that Barry, you want to match with Thrower. We're going to be thinking on the fly here a little bit, folks, but I do think this Clancy is meant to address with big bursts of damage. Obviously, it takes time. The hypercharge doesn't wow me because it takes so long to get there. But if Clancy can get there, and especially in the easy matchups, so I would say like Meg and Frank, we're pretty much standing obstacles. I think Clancy's gonna have a decent time, but the biggest key for Meg is bringing her down quickly, and Clancy just has such a big burst of damage. Interesting stuff, to say the least, on both ends. Humble up 1-0 against South America's #1 squad. Let's see if set 2 changes things up.
Well, there's no doubts about it. The crowd here very much behind Humble and making up for all that slight deficit in the poll on event.brawlstars.com. The barley heals from the herbal tonic going to be quite crucial. Firecrow's going to have to be cycling them in to keep his team on the zone. It's a good start so far for Loud, but now Luke comes in with some great value in a super there to close the gap. And as quickly as that Humble retake things in a very convincing way.
I think this boss pick has real potential to be solid. It's already on tier 2, and if it gets to tier 3, it's an issue. Look at the big burst of damage. 2 go down. They'll take that trade all day long.
Calm down, boss. Leave some for the rest of them. My word, hypercharge already for Lukey. This game's only just got started. Humble haven't even got 50% yet, and the amount of utility is flying here for Humble. Boss already at the max stack level. Adino low here. Firecrow trying to get his foot on the zone, but not able to even close the gap. Humble are all over this game. They're not even trying to get the objective. They're just playing with their food at this point.
I think most people would have looked at Griff for that high amount of damage in a quick, rapid succession, but Clancy, not beloved by most pro players right now. This is such a unique case where he is popping off. Lukey just standing on the enemy end. I mean, Barry is taking on a Frank right now. This is insane.
Humble are just making this look so easy. And when you consider that Loud took down Tribe Gaming yesterday, we expected far more of back and forth so far. Humble still standing on the zone, and they're going to be approaching now 100%, not even 20% dealt on the objectives by Loud. This is falling away from Loud. You can feel it. It's in the air, and Humble have never looked better.
No life out of Loud right now. Usually a team that's very animated, relies on big vibes, but this has been brutal to say the least. Humble just look unstoppable. In terms of scrims leading up into this week, above and beyond the best team even heard in any interview, wanted to make sure that they were #1 walking to this event. They're confident. I don't know if they're cocky, but I mean, it doesn't matter if the execution goes through, but what a start from Loud, finally showing some signs.
Lovely stuff. Radino, a great connection there. And an important one at that is going to be giving Loud a little place to breathe here. Semantic, though, coming back in immediately so. That connection, though, wasn't nearly as clean for Radino. And that's going to be utility lost. The Semantic does clear things up. Humble making up for lost time. Kydog now out of mech as well. Feeding into boss and Lukey as well. Not the wisest of calls. Suggests going down realistically and respawning back in, but will linger a little bit longer. As now the scoreline is all tied up.
Last call doesn't do much. Boss still able to remain on the point. Nadinho, his focus clearly on breaking down that wall. Semantic gets pulled. Hypercharge super does not matter. He survives. Kyo Dog falls as well, and Humble extend their lead. This is going to be really tough. Loud started so strong, but comeback for sure in the cards here for Humble.
Nice throw there from Semantic. There's a hypercharge available for Adino, but so far Humble have recollected themselves in a very nice way. Semantic there, lovely heal back up there as well. Is not what Lau were expecting. Is now Kydog out of mech. Big heals there from Firecrow coming in now as the hypercharge from Lukey goes straight to the eye of the storm onto Firecrow. Great from him, staying alive and getting the heals back for his team on the objective. Humble are getting things back under control.
Kyo Dog has to buy a ton of time. All three members of Humble standing tall. Adino flashing super, makes the contact. Semantic can maybe get this off, and he does. The hypercharge preserves him. Another one goes down. This time, no connection for Adino, and a last call will cut off Semantic on that left-hand end. Plenty of time to heal.
It's getting better for Loud. They're staying alive. Not on the zone at the moment, but Lukey comes in with a huge hypercharge there as well. Has to heal himself up though. Kydog as well, so be very careful to not go out. Mech gets the kill actually onto Boss. Unbelievable there as well from him, but it's going to be a Humble versus Loud finale into the center. And Kydog gets back into the mech. That's great for Loud now, but with only 10% for Humble. Can they keep them off this zone? Boss so low here, depending upon these heals. This is great. Now, tied up. Can Loud get these 5%? Only 5. There's only 5 more remaining. Can they get it down? Oh, they do! They get a game finally on the board, and we all know what that momentum can do for a team.
Sometimes you just got to see yourself get one. They were decimated in those opening 3 games, and now the crowd underway as well. Look, we all just want to see some good Brawl Stars. We all want to see what South America can do. This squad has been tested all year long, and now they're going to have to fight for their very first set. It's going to be a tough one. This time it's going to be Firecrow in the mid. Lukey battling as a thrower and Kyo Dog on the left-hand side. Boss getting 3 tags, and it's already at stage 2. Clancy off to the races early.
Yeah, the first signs of weakness for Humble in this series so far. Missed gadget there for Dino. And Lukey again, playing this berry to perfection. Cycling so beautifully well, coming back on Semantic as well. He's all over this map. But it's Kydog there with the hypercharge that stays in the zone and gets the value. Now Firecrow coming in with the heals. Oh, Boss! That was disgusting. But it's Adino that is still the tank that is yet to be toppled. And now getting rid of all that grass. It's going to leave nowhere for Humble to hide.
Hypercharge, covered, gonna go in now. Lukey looks for a super, keeps Semantic alive. Kyodog trying to flank. There's a few pistol shots going down, but when Meg is in this form, not a chance. A one-shot onto Firecrow. Poor little guy just couldn't hang. Now it's gonna be Frank once again battling. Kyodog just running to the other end, just hoping they don't see him. Adino. Oh! No connection. Lukey messing with him.
The timing, beautiful from Humble. We're back in the driving seat. Adino has got the hypercharge on that right-hand side, but no super. Good value from Lukey still. Hypercharge, no super, but he can't be far away. He's already popped it prematurely as well there on the right-hand side, and Boss has his. Now Humble locking down all the hatches. 50% away from taking this set, and Louders flows the objective. A huge area splash there. As the hypercharge of Firecrow is good. Heals now as well, but Loud are so behind. They cannot leave this zone. They've got to hold back Humble for a tremendous amount of time to win this set now.
This is going to take one of the greatest comebacks we've seen in the VSD in 2025. Now Humble deciding to encroach. They make contact with Semantic. The hammer connects. The pull does not go through. Boss has a super available. One takedown, make it two. Hypercharge. And Lukey is just stunting on the other team. It's Humble taking yet another step.
Small spatter in the works. A little deviation, but nothing that the world champions couldn't muster. Loud now have got a big problem. Oh, look at those stats as well. Boss, 17 takedowns, 522 DPS. Semantic on 14, 489 for him. But a worthy mention for Firecrow on that Barley pick, 537 DPS for him. But it's all about the objective. And that front, Loud did not really look nearly as promising as Humble. When you think of that set, it could have actually been one apiece for Loud now to be going into this third set. It's really tough considering that they know that they came this close to tying up the scoreboard, but now, being 2 sets down, it's a tough ask.
Everything came together there for Humble. That was such a freebie for Hank. You saw the band stage come through, and it was 3 of the best ways to deal with Hank. They know they have the first overall pick. Click, easy money for them. Now on the other end, they're just grasping at whatever it takes to get the best of them. A Barry composition goes through in this creative Clancy pick that not a lot of pro players believe in. I think my suspicions were correct. They wanted that big, high output of damage because Clancy, it takes a little bit, but with the matchups that were given, it was easy for him to get that super. I'm going to give a major shout out to Lukey. How many times did we see Barry at 1v1 that poor Frank? That's not how David and Goliath is supposed to go down.
He was everywhere. And, you know, Barry did get nerfed because we were seeing so much cyclability, but he still made it look like it's just still it. Going in there next to Sneaky Fields. It's going to be Brawl for Humble. And this is a mode where Loud could bring this back. It's definitely a regional favorite. But against Might of Humble at this stage of the competition, it's going to be so hard. The almost full reverse sweep now needed. Takes nerves of steel and composure. But so far, Loud have been a little bit quiet, ironically. For South America, a region that have always got something to say for themselves, we've yet to really kind of hear them from the casting desk.
It's definitely a team that's put us on some set 5s, but this would be the tallest task and the biggest ask of them this year. To do it against world champions down 2-0, live setting, DreamHack Dallas. And fans watching at home, pleading for Loud to try and make an upset for their South American region. And the bans will come through in just a moment. Kenji certainly at the top of mind here. I think Fink's in the equation, and please remove the, yes, they removed the Hank. You had to, please do it. You gotta know better, Loud.
Solid bans for me. Stu gonna be open here. B first pick for Loud. An 80% win rate on that particular brawler. Chester still going to be available as a potential tank counter here for Humble if they wish to go for it, but they like the tanks themselves. The Primos, the Franks, they'll bring them out without a hesitation. Ash as well, very much up there. Jae Young as well, not banned out. Definitely a good mode for him, one that we've seen banned out quite frequently, so on Brawl Ball. It's an option here for Humble if they want to go for that as well. And Max for speed, who's already seen Lukey really gravitates towards that potential brawler, combined with the, yeah, there you go, nice stuff, good stuff from Humble.
there's just a lot to keep in mind when B comes out, because we want to get aggressive or want to go for those tankier brawlers, which are often the goal scorers, as we'll call them. You need somebody who can walk that through the net. And now that they have Jae Young, yeah, they're going to go for Ashe. I think Ashe a pretty good selection to go with this, because I think when the big brain thinking comes through, if they wanted to get something aggressive like a Shade, which teams have leaned more towards recently, I think you still have to worry about wall break and other things like that. Jackie gets in the mix, is still available too. There's just so many things that these pro players have to juggle. I think this is about the safest 2-3 turn they could have asked for, especially Ashe with all the spawners. Of the tankier brawlers can at least
my head at the spike ban from Loud. I mean, we saw it played by Humble, to be fair, and there's the Frank.
Yeah,
but then Humble still have a Chester in the back pocket if they want to go for it. That's my kind of reservation there, that Loud might have to double down on this tank, to be completely honest. Maybe add a Primo, which is, again, one that Humble wouldn't mind having again. Yeah, exactly that. This is good from Loud. It makes a lot of sense on paper, but they've got to put it into practice.
At a bare minimum, it's going to be entertaining. El Primo and Frank have to be side by side, just like you talked about. If they go with Frank, they bring in the wall break. We see B Frank, we see B Stu, we see B Griff. This is their way of going around that, and now they get a big, beefy brawler. Humble are going to have to find a way to handle all of these health points and the range of B, and I'm not sure there's one particular answer out there that's perfect. They have multiple goal scorers. They have an aggressor in El Primo. They removed a counter for Frank, and that's going to be, yep, that's going to be Nita Bear. At least they're going to have an extra spawner. Humble have used this brawler quite a bit in Brawl Ball in particular as a way to deal with these beefy brawlers, and now that they have a spawner, no, Nita's not going to keep up with the range of something like a B, but it's a pretty good solution into the Primo and the Frank in particular.
Yeah, I really agree. I think that the Nita into the Primo is going to be getting a lot of value if Humble don't feed it. That is where I'm thinking their mind should be at. Pick Doug in the crowd. Love that one. Keep the cards coming, guys. I'm feeling it, for sure. I don't know if we're going to see a Doug. I would put my money on saying no, but hey, the players are watching, right?
Kicking off here, Fire Throw. Battling against Lukey. It's going to be a trade. Bruce the Bear lives on, though. Adinho, top right-hand side, cornered by Semantic Boss. Super shot, bang! Punches one through. What a perfect tag and a follow-through shot along with it.
Not the start, the Loud we're hoping for. The huge area, side lane clear there for Medino. There's now the hypercharge Bruce coming through. Lukey then clears up the left-hand side, waiting for the ball from Boss. Two straight to the hands. Medino, that may have thrown him off, to be fair. Good connection there onto Lukey. And Loud clear up. Should be a defense now as Kaidog in the corner gets stunned by Bruce. Oh, dirty stuff. Humble, though, have got to get this ball. The robotic rat should take care of Firecrow. And Humble now bouncing with that Jae Young between work and play mode. Now the heals coming in from the party mode as well. They're still not enough. With the respawns coming in, thinking better of it. They've got the first goal on the board. They can afford some time to themselves in the mid.
That was a very depressing takedown, seeing B just useless in a corner, single shot brawler, no big sting available, so just had to take it. Hypercharge is going down, though. Adinho using the stats to march forward, going to activate, explode all of those rats, but most importantly, takes down every single one of those walls for B to have easy access.
What can Firecrow do on this right-hand side? He's got the hypercharge, though. That is a saving grace, but no HP. And now, Humble continuing so, they're advanced. Adino struggling with the Bruce Bear as well. Semantic has the additional speed. Didn't find the shot onto Kaidog there, though. He might be able to defend this potentially here, but not with these shots from Boss. It's an easy goal for Humble, and most importantly, a match point.
South America feeling the pressure right now. They'd still have another life, but Humble would be guaranteed an escape into day 3 if they win this game right here. It was a good fight in set number 2, but set 1 and so far set 3, pretty dominant stuff. Loud. Pressure higher than they felt all year long. This is going to have to be pretty darn perfect. Now it is a full maximum reverse sweep.
I don't want to see Adino break up the map. I want to see Firecrow use these pushes to the perfection that they deserve and advancing forwards, get this ball as well with a few shots from Semantic. There's the B, I guess, to have a ball-based maneuver. Good pressure. Boss, the last man standing. A good break as well. Firecrow secures. He should be able to, but he's taking his time. Why did he shoot that ball in? What a f*** was South America.
That was tough to watch.
I can't believe it.
I mean, shocking. Like, that was, you know, sometimes it's one of those questionable 50-50 calls that we just don't know because we're not playing the game. That was a goal.
You can't do
no excuses.
Unforgivable. Loud are flustered. You can see it in the gameplay. And I guess the match point is now or never for them. For today, they'll have a second chance. They will not be out of the competition if they do lose this. But not a way to go into the next phase of the competition by any means. You want to be able to land something on the board. to really be able to have a mental going into a later win. Loud really are not looking their finest, it's got to be said.
Especially given how the set's been played out. Humble have just had so much control, so by giving away that goal, they have no leg to stand on. Lukey just throwing down shots. Bruce the Bear contributing. Adino trying to grab the ball. Oh, it stopped at the goal line, but Boss, super shot available. Semantic right there with him, drops those rats at a perfect time. It's just too easy for the world champions.
Humble are walking over this. It really is a doozy. Adino going to break the entire right-hand side now. It didn't work out well last time, but now Fargo has the hypercharge going in straight into the eye of Lukey. Bruce the Bear stunned backwards as well. This should be a goal for Loud, but I don't want to speak too soon. No! No, Loud! Not like this!
Just heartbreaking. Going to be a huge uphill battle. And if they somehow find a way, we'll make the story that much better. But right now, they are collapsing on a global stage. Fire throw right around this ball. Semantic from a distance, just looking to strike. And Lukey throwing up a heart to his competitor, because that is just something we have not seen in a while from these guys.
It's a big push coming in, hypercharge there, stunned for the Bruce Bear as well. And Dino is he cannot get the ball, and Humble have got the goal which they need. If Les Loud can advance forwards and get something to stay for it, there's not enough time. Calistic now 5 seconds down. The Loud are going to be going out of this stage. And one more chance for today. But Humble silence their opposition to South America. They are also now in the danger zone.
Certainly not the way Loud wanted to perform today. Riding the high of a 3-2 victory over North America's #1 yesterday, but today, done and dusted in this opener. No signs of life emotionally, and certainly in that Brawl Ball set. Goodness, that's one of the most brutal sets I've seen in a long time.
A tough loss for Loud. They've still got smiles on their faces. There's still a second chance later today. But for Humble, again, they've got it done. And they've looked so convincing in the process. It's a scary prospect. Still very much back on top of the world, as they were always going to be. Let's head over to the stage for Barney and hear what Humble have to say.
Thank you so much, Ark. I've got Boss here from Humble. What a performance. You know, I've got to say that leading up to this on social media, you know, Semantic's been saying, don't vote for us. It appears that the anti-jinx has worked. It was a 200 IQ play. To walk us through, you know, how comfortable that match was, because you guys looked extremely strong.
I mean, we prepared a lot to this match. We were confident on making a 3-0 because we know their strats and the stuff, so yeah, we just prepared for that and we drafted them.
I mean, preparation was key. It looked like you guys had them down from the get-go. A few mistakes on their part in Brawl as well. Do you feel like going up against the world champions, they got a bit nervous?
I think they had some pressure after beating Tribe. I think they had confidence on us, but we are just the world champions, current ones, and yeah, they can feel that.
I think finally, I just want to ask you, you guys must have seen backstage watching the SK versus Zeta match. After seeing the way that they performed, after seeing that match go the distance, any doubts creeping in, or how are you feeling about those two teams?
I mean, both teams are so strong. I don't really know which one is better. The match was actually so close. So I'm confident that we can beat them, and I'm excited to play them.
Humble is truly the word. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Boss and give it up for Humble. What a match. Let's go back over to the desk. So we're going to eliminate some teams.
Thank you, Barney. Boss seems pretty confident after yet another 3-0 win. Good job to them. And for Loud, this is definitely out of their comfort zone. We talked about it before. They like those close matches, those 3-2s. I believed in the South American supremacy, but they had to end their run on a couple of missed goals.
Hey, what can I say? You know, we're no North America in EMEA. We are top dog here. And yeah, I mean, tough match, wasn't it, really, for Loud? They just didn't really seem to have at any moment an answer for the world champs. I mean, yes, Humble are still looking better than ever, but we expected to see a little bit more from Loud, let's be honest.
Our storylines lined up perfectly. We called them the master of synergies, and they bring in the Barry, the Hank, Jae-Young, and Ash. It just worked out, and thanks to the mastermind behind all of this, Humble wins yet another match here. Semantic with the MVP vote. You get to vote on Brawl Stars, event.brawlstars.com to get that Pro Pass XP. Make sure to do that also for our next match lined up soon. Yeah, we are in Group B now. It's already round number 3. We're waiting for now. Humble will advance to day number 3, so we're not going to see them again today, Kenny.
Yeah, nice to just get a good night's sleep. Another easy push through. Look, this wasn't Loud's best work. We saw much better out of them yesterday, and I was already kind of feeling Toxic Lotus riding the high of yesterday. I mean, after that, I feel like I have to go with Chinese Mainland, right?
It's going to be another tough match to predict for not only us, but also for the people at home. Once the Brawl Cup is wrapped up for today, it's not over yet. We still have a little treat for you. We have yet another show match. It's going to be Brawl Arena, the brand new game mode in Brawl Stars. I'm super hyped for it. Yes, again, I get to cast it, so I'm super excited for that. And it's going to be 100 Thieves versus your favorite Brawl Stars creators from Tribe Gaming. So we still get to see a little more Tribe after the break.
漫画が好きなきっかけは、アニメとかで見るとやっぱ続きとか気になっちゃうんですよね。それで続きが気になるにつれてもう早く見たいっていう性格なので、それでも、自然と漫画が好きになったという形ですね。好きな漫画が、バキですね。バキっていう格闘技の漫画があるんですけど、それを見てブロスターにつながったので非常に感謝します、バキには。まず YouTube を頑張るようになったのはヤピマルさんっているんですけど、その方を目指して一緒に動画撮るにつれて、俺もこんなんなりたいなとか思ってやりました。でキリタンポさんは僕の中では神様です。メンタル面とか、それでこそもう落ち込んだ時とか動画とか、何かしら見れば元気出るので、ブロスターってゲームってメンタルゲーなんですごい助かってます。そういう存在です。でファンアートに関してはもうとても嬉しいですね。やっぱ応援にもつながっているので、これからも書いてくれたら嬉しいです。これとかめちゃくちゃ可愛くて、ちゃんとシェードも号泣してなんか嬉しくしてくれてますし、これとかもちゃんとなんかシェード多いの。シェードめちゃくちゃ多いですね。シェードもめちゃくちゃいいですし、こういうのめちゃくちゃ可愛くないですか。ほんまにちゃんとゼータポーズしてくれてめちゃくちゃ嬉しいです。シェイドがいたからこそ、3月のマンスリーカセットもありますし、とても大好きですね。でもコスプレに関してもゼータと話し合ってもゼータがするってなるなら全然します。ゼータ次第です。
We're back with more Brawl Cup. We're back with the lower brackets here for all of those teams we're going to see right now. It's the last chance. The final chance to still make it to day 3. If they still want to have a shot at that world's final slot for their region, they need to make it through this round first. We brought a new, fresh pair of casters in here. You should watch the matches in the back. Any highlights that you already know will not let you sleep tonight?
I mean, come on, that SK Gaming matchup, I think, versus Zeta Division was incredible. Definitely game of the tournament so far. Hopefully we get it again or something that approaches that if Zeta can continue to fight through.
the last set that we saw between Loud and Humble was crazy. I really did think they had a chance. That aggression that they had with El Primo just to fall right on the goal line, it broke my heart. But it does put them here in our elimination matches, so at least we get to see him again.
He was mad. He was mad at Loud.
I stomped away.
I'm calling him out. He was actually mad.
We were all a little mad. We were hoping that South America has another chance, and they only have one more. But only Barney seems to believe that NA will make that true. Our first match is going to be Zeta Division versus Elevate here. And most of us seem to think that East Asia will make it to day 3.
And there's a good reason for that. I mean, we talk about these guys as the mechanical geniuses, right? In the past, their drafts were lacking, or that's at least what was, aimed at a lot of Shitampo's teams going back. These guys have got incredible experience. They're just cracked individuals. This is the perfect environment for them to show what they've been working on this year.
It was the clash of titans between Zeta Division and SK Gaming. They went all the way to set number 5. I hope they had a moment to take a breath after that when it was a finals-worthy match, and let's hear it from them now.
世界大会の枠に関しては嬉しいんですけど、まずは日本のゼータってチームが強いぞってところを証明したいなと思います。
Zeta Division looking strong. They said yesterday in an interview that they want to focus a bit more on draft. Has that worked out for them so far, Uber?
I mean, I think so. I think their drafts have been materially improved. You can see here Suzuku has been out of play, some of those really powerful tanky brawlers, and the best teams here all share the same thing, is that they do have that individual that can pick those tanks up and basically run away with the game.
Let's see if we got some more tanks for Suzuku. He's hoping for it. On the other side, we have a tank-heavy region. Usually NA is known for that, and they're the last hope for NA here. Elevate. Tribe Gaming is already out of the race. Ready.
We had to say goodbye to the front runners. They were simply outdone at pretty much every single turn. The draft was a real hurting point. And the same thing happened for Elevate yesterday when they faced against Zeta Division. It seemed like a lot of those times the draft went to Zeta Division. Elevate, I think they were a little bit confused in terms of, are we getting baited? When are we going to go here? It was hard for them to form something cohesive in terms of the draft.
But they get a rematch. It is so rare to see that at a tournament like this, that you have the chance to go up against a team after already playing them on stage. They've had all night. This team, of course, had plenty of time to look at what went wrong for them, try and mix those issues or fix those issues, especially the ones that appeared in the draft. I think this team's going to show us a little bit more. Now, they're realizing they're the last survivors of NA, the last hope. They're representing an entire region here in front of a home crowd. You better believe they're going to stand up to the challenge.
Yesterday, Evex looked particularly good. They did take a set, and they took several games off of Zeta Division in their match yesterday. Against Revan and Xpark, they completely 3-0'd them, and I think Revan and Xpark, they weren't too happy with that performance, had the chance to, hear how they're feeling behind the scenes. And it goes to show just how much pressure Elevate did put on them yesterday, that they are bringing some pretty serious stuff to the Brawl today.
Last hope for East Asia, and also the last hope for North America. A lot of pressure on those two teams. I want to see now just how ready they are. Let's meet them.
Another region's survival hangs in the balance. DreamHack, make some noise for your next two teams, Zeta Division and Elevate. Zeta Division are Shitampo, Levi, and Suzuku. Elevate are Hachi, Vegeta, and Evex.
They're looking ready now. Zeta Division looked a little broken after their match against SK Gaming. It had to go all the way to the very last set, to the very last round of that as well. It was double match point, but they seem to be ready again.
I mean, they're always ready. They are so good. That was an incredible game. I think watching Shitampo play to Cordelius against the Draco on that, hot zone map, just the raw mechanics there. He always got them over the line almost on his own. That's how incredible that team is. And Elevate remind me a lot of Zeta Division. Also very mechanically inclined team. They also need to make sure these drafts are airtight. That's why they got Uncle OG stood behind them to try and make it smooth sailing.
Devotee to help them out here. Yes, the draft is the one part where we had said in the past that East Asia is exactly shining. We call them mechanical geniuses, wizards when it comes down to skillful plays. Let's see if they also have some ideas how to draft against OG ready.
I got the chance to speak with their analyst, Laytox, behind the scenes just a moment ago, especially after their match versus SK. And he seemed to be, a little displeased with their performance, okay? Because they went all the way to set 5 in terms of draft, outdraft is what he said. A little resistance from the players in terms of the things that he wanted to go, because this is actually a quite classic Zeta Division thing. And also in East Asia, where they know that they can mechanically diff enemy players in other regions. Also in East Asia, where they know that they can mechanically diff enemy players in other regions, but in some cases that does hold them back from outdrafting.
Because he conferring here with OG. Vegeta, 10-foot gaming warlord that he is, looking across. Just, again, there's a lot of discussion about like what role the coach should have, whether it's you tell the players what to play, they play it, or more of a, committee. It looks like on Zeta Division, there's a bit of back and forth here from the players. I don't think this is emblematic of the true odds of this matchup, but I really do think Zeta Division come out of that SK game with a fire in their belly.
What is this prediction? I feel sorry for Elevate in this one, but they should take it as motivation to pop off even more. Last hope for NA here. We have to say goodbye to Tribe Gaming. We don't want to grey out that flag just yet, says Elevate. But so does Zeta Division. They still are hanging on by a thread here. Both of those teams, both of those regions are on their last chance.
In terms of how they're feeling, I also spoke with Evex behind the scenes, and there was a bit of a mystery also. This was before we even saw the results of SK versus Zeta Division. Confusion, they didn't really know who they were going to wind up facing, came right down to the wire, so limited preparation time in terms of what they're going for. When I spoke with Laytox, though, a bit of frustration with him as well, because he knows that there's potential for them to play 2 matches today, and over yesterday, they're repeat maps in this map pool.
That's the tough part about being unable to cleanly get yourself into the bracket stage. Losers here in day 1 and day 2 have to play, pretty close together matches. They didn't get much of a break with how quickly Loud were dispatched on that stage. Gus going to be the first pick here for Zeta Division. Obviously, we're heading over to Hard Rock Mine here, so a very solid and safe mid.
2-3 now available for Elevate. Something that we saw quite consistently in this matchup between Elevate and Zeta Division yesterday is that Zeta, they can go something quite consistent. Elevate, they feel inclined to outdraft them if possible. Tara now coming out here on Hard Rock Mine. That's one's going to be able to sneak all the way back, utilize those bushes to get in the back lines. It was quite troublesome as well for Zeta Division to deal with yesterday, so some real potential there. They're going to have to be quite knowledgeable also about the lane matchups so they can get through those shades. Maybe something with piercing could help.
Now, I know that Elevate haven't had much time to sort of prepare, but they have left Shade open here pretty late into the draft. That's obviously a really popular pick here for someone like Shtitampo. And like you mentioned, it allowed them to take victory in the March monthly finals out there in East Asia. And it would be a pretty nice way to round out this current composition. Patchy on the Tara, of course, you have quite a bully of a side laner and someone who can force the enemy gen carrier to give them up. Always scary when you're going up against those Tara comps. You've got to be hyper vigilant of the periphery on a map like Hard Rock Mine. Of course, the temptation here to go with the Shade, I'm sure, is quite strong for Zeta Division. A lot of directions they can still take this particular comp. And it's going to be Stu instead.
Stu is going to have trouble with those Tara Shades since he has a single target Brawl. Wow, okay. Elevate's putting the gloves on, I guess, with Rosa now trying to penetrate the back lines. Now, this is actually one of the worst matchups for Buster in the entire game. But they also leaned into a similar mentality yesterday. On Pinhole Punt, they decided to play into Zeta Division's Buster using a Jackie. It didn't work. That would have worked in North America, but versus Zeta Division, in just the way that this region plays Brawl Stars, it is a battle of the regions, after all. They focus on synergy and staying together, and the one-on-one Rosa wins. But in a team fight, she does not.
Here we go, folks. Jumping into our first set of the series is Hard Rock Mine. Winner advances here in the bracket phase. Loser will be going home. And like we mentioned, this is North America's last stand.
Already off to the races. Suzuku trying to establish some dominance there on the left side. And here's the strat from Elevate. They're going to be building these bushes out to mid. It's going to diminish the value that Levy's able to offer on top of this. Gus, Shtitampo might like to break open some of those walls. He's already gotten rid of the right side takedown as well onto Shtitampo. Elevate with a minor advantage right now. Both sides are just trading out the gems that spawn closest to them. Long-range takedown for Levy, who's running that vision gear, which is going to make those bushes not as valuable.
Stuff here for Vegeta allows him to fight this Buster a little bit more effectively. Help from beyond cleared oh so easily, and Patchy is down to one shot as soon as he returns to the lane. He went for a bit of a, I don't know, desperate Tara super previously before getting picked off, but this is sloppy stuff from Elevate. Zeta Division are getting very comfortable in this round. Chitampo's been able to snatch up all those 3 gems, and Vegeta's going to come forward in the grasping roots, but so easily redirected away from the gem carriers.
The synergy is here. Suzuku pulled away Vegeta from the heart of their operation. That's a countdown now for Zeta Division. Shitampo running away with it. Suzuku providing as much pressure as he can. He's going to fall, but that's okay. Evex now pressuring into the back lines. Levy's able to pick up number 9 and 10 and stay as safe as can be. He's got 2 brawlers now to act as a buffer zone between him and all of Elevate's might, but they don't have any utility. Patchy could be close to a super, but he's going to have to close around versus Suzuku. Now going for Gus. Impossible, no. Taken down by the gadget, and Zeta Division run away with game 1.
Okay, in terms of ways to start a series, that's not what you're looking for if you Elevate.
No.
Really difficult. Patchy looks shaky there on the Tara. Plays that left-hand side of the map, but just straight up loses a duel and then throws his super out to no effect. Throws it at a Buster. The Buster just shrugs it off and goes back to being a real nuisance there. The draft is fine, completely acceptable. I think the Rosa definitely is, something that furrows the brow a little bit here. Already said is it's all too easy with that slow-mo replay to drag Vegeta away from his intended target.
Yeah, you get incredible peel for your teammates with the use of that ability, and that's the way that Zeta Division play this game. They play it as a team game rather than a series of 1v1s, which we can usually see from a team like Elevate coming from North America. It's also a bit mysterious because the roles aren't clearly defined on this comp from Elevate. They can run Tara up mid, but she's not usually going to be playing that well as a mid. She's going to get most of her damage up close. Vegeta taken down by Suzuku on the left side. It's just Patchy left alive, and just like last game, the teams are simply trading out gems.
There's no pressure whatsoever here on Levy. Shitampo able to move up there. Evex just blown to smithereens. Oh, buddy, this is ugly. Vegeta forced back. That's super pointless in this kind of situation. Zeta Division are just stacking up these gems now, getting to 7.
That super could have done something if you weren't playing against literally one of the most mechanically skilled players in the game. Levy caught himself on the indestructible on the left side to avoid the pull. We'll see Suzuku fall as Vegeta continues to amplify the pressure on the left side, now shifting around, grabbing a gem. Not really who you want to have holding a gem. Patchy would be the ideal one, but Patchy is lurking with a super. He's also got to be just one cycle of a super away from a hypercharge, which can be a game-changing ability. Just has to be cautious of the positioning from Zeta Division once again. It's an elimination on Suzuku for sure. Now a 3v2, but Zeta Division are in a safe position for Zeta to get a countdown.
Levy's not really too afraid here. He has hypercharge, so it's going to be very tough nut to crack that Gus. Chitampo also will always represent some form of threat. Who's going to help Vegeta here? Okay, strong stuff used. He does have the edge in that matchup as Suzuku can just work his way into the back line. Now they're going to go for an Elevate, pushing up here. Gravity thrown down, Levy low, barely able to walk away. He's 16 bloody health. Someone get rid of him. Eventually he falls. Zeta Division though have Suzuku in a deadly situation. Apache's able to recover. Up to 9 gems, but that's the 10th here for Chitampo. Levy back in position.
One more gem is all Elevate need to tie things up. Here comes the Chester hypercharge out. Gem carrier down for Zeta Division. Patchy's running away with it. Suzuku trying to close in. He's got just a little bit of health to his name, trying to intercept Patchy's path in the bushes, but can't do so. Shitampo now has the super. He's got to make this happen. Got to clutch it up. No, the buffer from the Shades. They've done it. Elevate running away with all the gems, and they've tied up the series.
And that's a round that starts in, honestly, the strangest way. It is a solo Tara super onto a Buster who's just a little bit overextended. Once Suzuku is taken down, Elevate leverage that player advantage into map control and just bully all the way into Zeta Division, finally getting to that Gus in their backline, making him drop the gems.
It's still such a bizarre composition from Elevate because they don't have a well-defined mid-brawler. They're relying on Rosa to get these bushes down. And there's limited wall break ability from Zeta Division. In fact, they've already applied enough pressure to take down Stu. Avex is intent on staying in this position, utilizing this wall as long as he can. But you see Shitampo's put a high priority on breaking it as well, just keeping his distance for now. Shades in as well. Going to get a little bit more pressure for Elevate. Vegeta's trying to get this matchup versus Suzuku, but it's not made easy as Levi continues to get him the pressure.
That grow light from Vegeta is allowing Elevate to move their safe zone so close to the gem well, allowing them to snap up these gems for free. A little bit of a misstep there. Vegeta probably didn't want to take that gem, as he is the tip of the spear here for Elevate. They want to start these fights off and would give Zeta Division a free gem where he to do so.
Here comes Patchy in with a super. Not going to do much against Suzuku. Takedown on the gem carrier as well. We'll see that poison come out from Evex since the Zuku falls. Levy not really in a vulnerable position either. Ideal matchups for Zeta Division, even though they are down one man. And they're up by a good number of gems as well. It's utter chaos on Elevate's side at the moment. They're all low health, and they're just trying to back away as much as they can. Shitetampo also with the back cap, looking for 1, 2. Evex also at risk of going down. Levy only needs one more to get the safest possible position for Zeta.
I think he realized he was done there. He stood still for a moment, knowing that Zeta were converging on his location. Patchy has a hypercharged super. With Gravity's range being extended, can be so powerful, but he's got to use it just to defend himself. Grasping roots here for Vegeta. Levi able to knock him back, and there is Zeta Division. All things considered, a relatively clean set take. Even though that second round didn't quite break their way, there's always an element of volatility that gets introduced into a map when Tara is present.
If you ask me, we're not seeing much of a mentality change over yesterday, from Elevate especially. I think Zeta Division are the main characters in this matchup, and we need to see how Elevate adjusts to that. Elevate, they've been leading with sort of these cheesy ideas. Like, who really does this? Who runs the Tara mid and Rosa to put the bushes up mid? That's so untraditional. And I think it speaks volumes about how they're approaching this matchup. They're leaning towards the draft as their mechanism for taking down Zeta Division, because they know that on a mechanics basis, they won't be able to defeat them.
Normally, we don't see Tara mid. We see her play a side laner. She's able to play a bit more aggressively, because generally she needs to put herself in harm's reach in order to build those supers and even deploy them adequately. This moment here from Patchy, though, was nice. Chester, very powerful. That hypercharge allows Evex to get those gems dropped, and Patchy just runs back into the corner. So a bright spot there, at least for Elevate. Shitampo, he was stymied by the sheets. But in general, feels like Zeta are comfortable. They use Suzuku so effectively to trade his health for that map control. And then Levy really barely has a care in the world in so many of these situations. That's why, even though it's a 2-1 in round score, we depart with the feeling that it was pretty clean overall from Zeta Division.
In terms of comfortability, Zeta Division should be comfortable with their draft. But in terms of the gameplay, I think that they should have some nerves as well. Because Elevate, I don't think, should be taking a game off of Zeta Division, because that was a total outdraft, in my opinion, by Zeta. We're headed into another one. The draft, once more, could be questionable from Elevate. They led with this a lot yesterday, just trying to outdraft. They overcook, it falls short. Mechanical difference between the two teams.
Well, we've honestly been seeing that from North America all over the course of this week.
Yes.
A lot of these like third picks from Tribe are also pretty questionable, right? They take Crow in some odd spots where he doesn't really work out. Then have Lau pick Crow against them and show him how it's done later on in that series. So that's definitely something we've pointed out in this region. I also would say that, you know, for Elevate, you know, the addition of OG has been a bit more recent, right? So having him integrated in the team and, you know, just having a bit more oversight through the drafts is something that is a bit newer to these guys. Normally they would just hang out in Vegeta or Evex's room, whoever it is, and just talk shop, kind of come up with the picks they're looking for. Now we have I like this. Chuck Band here on Bridge Too Far. Charlie also taken out of the mix. Zeta Division with some pretty spicy bans, but it does leave a couple of things open.
Looking especially at like Melody, Colette. Melody has been banned out. Colette wide open for anyone to take.
And still good on Heist, even with the changes to the safe.
Exactly, yes. So now you're going to be blocking damage on the safe every 25%. There's still ways around this. Colette, first selection out here. One that I look at that can actually fare decently against Colette is the bow. You get a lot of damage. You're working at pretty much the same range. We actually saw Zeta Division utilize this earlier in scrims as well to bypass that whole 25% shielding thing. If you're able to get your hypercharge down, or even just an ordinary super, and then pop tripwire to have it all proc on the same tick.
Couple of ways around that sort of all-in protection, we'll call it. Bridge Too Far is also a map that's really about being able to pinch into lanes that are not your own, win that matchup, and then help a side laner. Eve here, of course, creates just a lot of flexibility. She can drift between those lanes now, just ignoring those bodies of water. And honestly, with a star power that then reverses the order of her eggs, which is the only one you ever see with her, you don't have to hit all of your shots to actually really leave a mark in your opponent. She becomes a legitimate damage threat.
This is true. She has that hypercharge as well that's going to be instrumental. Bonnie, one of the strongest laners as well that is available on this map, since she recently got a rework where she's able to instantly pop back into that super. It makes her much, much more viable, though she is actually one of the worst brawlers to play into Colette. Back in the day when Bonnie was one of the more meta picks on Heist, Colette was the way to deal with it. I think Zeta Division might have picked this Colette thinking that they could secure themselves a Bonnie, and if not, then fine. They have a good matchup for the Colette. But in terms of being able to switch lanes effectively on this map, that's very, very difficult. It's going to take someone to actually break down that mid wall. Bo is one of them. Once more, we already knew this was a favorite for Zeta Division based on scrim data.
Very much par for the course this look has been for Zeta. They've got an opportunity now to really round their draft out. They've got pretty reasonable range and decent laning potential as well. You kind of mentioned Bonnie can struggle a little bit against the Colette. That's because Bonnie, for all the damage that she does, is relatively high health pool, so really plays into the game plan for Colette, who does % health damage, and she's not the most mobile. Also, she can't exactly vomit shots at you when he has that one shot in the magazine. It's going to be Carl here for Zeta Division, giving you a bit of modality, the ability to go forward, make that all-in happen, also just dive on the safe. I think Heat Ejector is unbelievably powerful gadget. We've seen it be so good in Brawl Ball modes as well, just to zone people off the map, lock them into corners, and basically dictate your opponent's positioning.
Loads of safe damage available for a Zeta Division. In terms of Elevate, they've only got one so far. Here comes Piper as the last selection. You don't want to risk going a sniper or even two too early on, because you do get risk of being run down. That's not what we see at all from Zeta Division. They do have some brawlers that are able to pump up lots of damage on that safe, but they're going to have to win their individual lane matchups first. So now Piper, she's like the queen of winning lane on this map. She's going to be instrumental. She does tons and tons of safe damage, but once more, it is a mechanical battle. We know how good Zeta Division are at getting jukes, dodges down the lane. And so if the shots are a difficulty to hit for Elevate, then this still could swing in Zeta Division's favor.
Elevate are really invested in having strong laners, Bonnie and Piper especially. The idea is to manifest a safe damage advantage after slowly transitioning out of these initial lanes. Patchy, of course, will always be able to help out with the side lanes. You can see, trying to help Vegeta just collapse into this position. FX dives forward, and there it is, straight back into the cannon. Some good early damage on the safe.
Patchy now going to drop this safe down to 74%. Inaugural damage as well from Suzuku on the safe, but he's getting largely ignored, especially as FX has to rotate over to the left side. Look how cumbersome that is as well, with Bonnie being as slow as she is, aided by the fact that she has a gadget that speeds her up, but still taken down by those mines from Levy that weren't even not communicated. He popped them down in the perfect time. There's still one more lurking as well, but the damage is now coming in from Elevate. Vegeta popping the hypercharge, hammering away at the safe, and now down to 49 for Zeta.
Great mechanics, dodges a lot of those shots coming his way, pops the hypercharge just for the damage increase. Chitampa, we're looking at threat at the bottom of your screen, but FX has Vegeta in that lane. Here comes Levy. A lot of mines getting thrown down, and that's why Bo is just so powerful. Of course, like we mentioned, being able to circumvent the sort of health protection on the safe, but there it is. Zeta are down to their last stage. The pressure from Elevate has been immense. And even with FX down, they keep chunking away at this safe.
Levy has yet to pop that hypercharge set of mines. It's down to just 10% left. All the damage now rolling in on the home front. Elevate fighting for their lives here. 1% to go. Levy, the last bastion of defense, defending this safe. Now down to 8K. Vegeta needs some shots. Tampo looking to swing with the pickaxe. It's going to be a photo finish. Elevate at the 11th hour. Take it away.
You got to be so careful of that bow setup. Out of nowhere, your safe can virtually disintegrate. But we saw that three-player push up the map from Elevate. They realized they had one last chance to run away with the round. Maybe a miscalculation there. Maybe Zeta thought they actually could just activate those mines and be done with it, but 1% short they were, and they gave Elevate a window to take the game back.
Win lane, win game. That is how it is played. Evx rotate onto this right side once again, hoping that Suzuku might rotate over to the left. Doesn't look to be so. He's looking for the trade as soon as possible. Thankfully for him, Patchy's won the matchup at mid with the assistance of Vegeta, and now the damage starts to pour in. That's 2 lanes now won for Elevate. Suzuku's still holding off Evx on the right side, but that's what he's got to do. Otherwise, Evx can push in and get tremendous damage on the safe.
The hatchlings are such a problem for Suzuku. He just accepts his fate. He knows he's gonna lose out there. FX flashes super. It's about finding ways to pressure Levy here now. Vegeta will return to lane. Chitampo just swaps out of that matchup, doesn't want to deal with it. But Patchy is everywhere. Here come the hypers though. Levy's gone down. Chitampo tries to go for a gambit on the safe, but here come Elevate. Now in commanding positions, and they don't need to leave. They can keep this pressure on from these forward spots.
And once the pressure begins to expire, that's when Evex can come in and make his move. He knows he's going to get supered by Suzuku if he gets a little bit too close, but that's just a risk he's going to have to take. Here it comes. Suzuku goes for the super, but the damage is already done. It's only 24% remaining, but they've eliminated a couple of members of Elevate, and it's time for Zeta Division to start forming their counter push. If they can even get into position in time. The Eve hatchlings have been too much of an issue for Suzuku to comfortably get in position. He's also far estranged from the push on the left side that Elevate are now bringing to a boiling point.
And now Elevate are down to the last phase here of safe protection. So they can throw themselves at it. Should be straightforward stuff. Nicely done. And it's simple. Win the lane, win the game. Very powerful long-range ballers drafted here for Elevate, and they dominate on Bridge Too Far.
Finally from Elevate, a union of mechanics and draft. This was a draft diff for Elevate. Not only that, but they played losing matchups really, really well. When we saw Evex on that Bonnie on the right side, consistently keeping the Colette at range, getting hits on her without getting hit at all, that was tremendous. But Vegeta, the genius level Piper last pick that somehow slipped by Zeta Division, was the star of the show.
Yeah, I mean, laning up against the bow to start with, just straight up just crushing that matchup. And it didn't help that Patchy could, with a moment's notice, just rotate over to another side lane, help collapse, pinch one of those Zeta Division players, and then allow their side laner to move up and start pressuring that safe down. And now, in this modern era, we'll call it, of Heist, you cannot simply play 3 tanks and run it down. You cannot all in remotely as easily. You really have to play that long game. And Elevate understand that quite well. Some moments here, of course. This was 1% on the safe after the bow mines.
Go, we gotta go. We commit here. Commit. Nice!
Yes! No frantic calls, no real stress. I think Elevate understood how to execute on the plan that they drew up in the draft, and that's great. You feel like they've got to be under a lot of pressure here. They're on stage in front of a home crowd. This is their last chance for the region. They're going up against a previous world champion, an incredible roster out of East Asia. It certainly feels like the deck is stacked against you, but yeah, we saw the social media from Elevate. They're pinning their hopes on Patchy to save them.
Yeah, we see UZ, shout out to Patchy as well. He retired from the game, now he's back, and it's like he never even left, fitting into this Elevate roster like a glove and contributing some expert-level drafting knowledge to the team. That Piper last pick, I think, was really, really smart from Elevate. I'm curious how it slipped by Zeta Division. They were heavily emphasizing that safe damage portion, and were not able to win the individual lanes. I think, though, of any map that works well against Zeta Division, it's got to be Bridge Too Far, because now you've split them into individual lanes. You're de-emphasizing the level of team play that they work so hard on that usually leads to them being champions.
Great point. This is the kind of map, though, as we head to Bounty, where, once again, the focus is going to be on how well you can coordinate these pushes, especially if you are behind in stars after getting picked off or something similar. But Elevate here know that they can, in theory, break this map up at least into 2 side lanes, right? And try and find ways to win those. They might just be picking these powerful, long-range brawlers. It's how they want to build a foundation of their draft strategy. Now, Jaeyoung Nani banned out here. So obviously, a couple powerful sharpshooters being looked at already. Gene, double ban. Neither team wants to deal with the volatility that Magic Hand invites.
Not only that, but also the Vengeful Spirits can be such a great way to secure a KO at long range on numerous targets at the same time. Here comes Bell. It's a Zeta Division favorite. It's an East Asia favorite as well. One of the more comfortable brawlers, and one that they were hesitant to play yesterday. But there's a good preemptive pick. It'll be good into Carl. It'll be pretty good into Lola as well. 2 brawlers that we saw Elevate lean heavily into yesterday. So it's a preemptive one. And we also see Nanny has been banned out by Zeta Division. That makes things a lot more safe for them. I think it opens up the potential of, like, Angelo, one of the strongest brawlers on this map. They also have Piper as a phenomenal option. Mandy, you can't get reflected because there's no Nanny to counter you. So some pretty plentiful options for Elevate. Going 2 snipers would be overkill, but Piper is an absolute must.
And Bell has pretty impressive range, but she doesn't exactly have the burst damage that someone like Piper does. So she doesn't always feel favored in that kind of matchup, especially that Piper's got access to homemade recipe and can straight up just face roll that. Here's Gus. Like you mentioned, maybe 2 sharpshooters too much, but Gus fits a great niche where he has the defensive utility he can offer when push comes to shove.
I completely agree. Usually you're able to do pretty well into close range matchups. You also have a bit of KO potential as well with the Kooky Popper. So pretty solid selection for Elevate. Maybe one that Zeta Division were considering themselves. Elevate has the power also at this last pick, so they can do something there. We'll see the Gray. This can enable a way of dealing with a potential thrower in the early game. You're also looking at a ton of aggression potential. It's a very mechanically weighted brawler. And RT, a final selection now coming out. I think this, safeguards them against any sort of like cheese, like Miko or something like that would absolutely walk all over what Zeta Division have gone so far. Zeta are going something as safe as they possibly can, trying to cover as many bases as they can. They're leaving things open for Elevate to maybe shoot themselves in the own foot and go for something too aggressive, maybe something unorthodox.
RT has been more confined, I think, to these bounty maps nowadays. In fact, has really been looked at less in the pick and bans lately, but it's almost like banned on every other occasion. This is a super out of left field kind of pick. Elevate do go for a throw. Realizing that Zeta Division, while they do have the Gray and the ability to sort of attack that, Last Hurrah's Great Fatigue will allow him to have a bit of a shield if he does get dove in these kind of situations. And honestly, that hypercharge is pretty terrifying. You can also increase the health of your super, your head first with the right gear choice, and really pose a threat to these single shot brawlers.
Tick is one of the best last picks on this map, and a lot of times it would actually be worth a ban, but there's so many good brawlers in this game. You only get really 3 to choose between, and we did see a sort of minor way of addressing this in use of the Gray. We'll see the mid matchup as well. Typically it's Tick that picks up the blue star. This time, Patchy is going to let Levy take it. It's going to rely on the rest of the Elevate roster to get that aggression to chip that blue star off of Zeta Division.
Levy's pathing is incredible. I think he just walked through 3 shots from Patchy again, which is, you expect the Tick to sort of pick up some free damage there, but Levy's making sure that Patchy does not get anything that he doesn't pay for himself. So still a long way away from that head first super, which, like we mentioned, against all of these single shot brawlers is a bit of a scary prospect. Patchy wants to get aggressive. They're trying to take a bit of map control. Here comes that head first. It's just blown up straight away. Homemade Recipe allows a connection onto Shitampo, but Zeta Division haven't done much fighting back here.
We saw an honest attempt also from Apache to block that shot, to block that pull from Levy. Thankfully, he wasn't close enough to the Indestructible to be pulled through. He's got another super as well to get a bit of aggression going. If things get a little bit close to Shitampo, who's out of shots, the curve hits. Elevate in the lead by 1 star.
Apache hide behind his own head first, knowing that's going to block a magic hand for him should it come out. A lot of zoning potential here from the hypercharged super of the Tick, and it never really finds its mark. It doesn't quite make a connection. Here comes Shitampo. Wants to move on up again. RT, pretty scary. Also has a gadget to confirm those kills.
Talk about confirming kills. Vegeta gets a second one on Suzuku, and Levy now opts to shift over to the left lane. It's a more difficult matchup for him. Hypercharge out from Vegeta. There's the pull, but no one's there to respond. Shitampo obviously clued in to follow up, but was just a little bit too late and absolutely missed the mark on that final finishing shot. Only 15 seconds to go. Patchy is the first to fall. 1 star separates these 2 teams.
Vegeta, oh, great super there from Avex. Keeps him alive just at the most important moment. Levy comes forward, but no, the shots can't be connected by Apache. Zeta Division open up a massive gap now on Elevate. Vegeta's coming forward aggressively. 4-star difference. Levy needs to be the one they pick up, and it can't quite catch him. Slow and steady wins the race. Zeta Division until the last moment. Patient, then pull the trigger and explode.
Playing with the clock here. That was way too close for Zeta Division, but I gotta hand it to them. Their target priority, Tick, would have been the easiest kill for them to go for first, but they knew that they could expand their lead by going for him last, since he is not a threat at all in close range. Have to see some adaptation as well from Elevate. They had that Tick hypercharge with 45 seconds left on the clock. They opted to use it and didn't really create any pressure off of it. Avex also falls very early on. Levy holding onto this blue star, and a firm advantage for Zeta.
It's a great gadget use there from Shitampo. Both these teams have ways of virtually confirming eliminations once they get hits. One, of course, from the Gus, one from the RT. That was Shitampo just dominating in a virtual 1 versus 1. They just came out of a map where they were forced into a number of those single brawler assignments. Now, they were able to find success there, but so far so good for Zeta. They've got no reason to take any risks here.
Zeta Division's synergy has also come back online. We saw the hook from Levy and the follow-up from Suzuku. We saw the lanes shift as well. Shitetampo now on the right lane versus Evex. Vegeta shifting over to the left. He's got to fight through some of these mines that are littering the ground right now. Getting tapped one time after the other by Suzuku. Now that's mechanics right there. Patchy also throwing down the head first to take a little bit of damage. Doesn't create any pressure really. Ooh, that's quite a curve out from Vegeta as well. It was entirely absorbed by Gray thanks to the star power. But he's going for any pressure he really can. When you see a Piper using curves like that, usually speaks a lack of confidence.
Yeah, Homemade Recipe just like try and gain map control via a health deficit. It's unclear. Vegeta hoping for anything. Elevate look a little uninspired now. The question is, what is their plan supposed to be? Is it about Vegeta landing consecutive shots? He's got to use Homemade Recipe to secure them. Patchy can assume some map control behind a hypercharged super, but doesn't have any way of guaranteeing a hit from it. He's going to move forward here, try and cut the time down. Shitetampo going to try and deal with it. He's connected onto it, got to get away from those mines. Safely tucked into the corner now. He knows just where to stand. Cheeky little bugger. He is chilling for now. One more shot would do with him, but he has taken up so much of Elevate's time. They've finally gotten him. What is Suzuku and Levy doing in the meantime, though? That's the question. Oh, just winning the game. No worries. Find the last 3 stars right at the end of the set. So once again, take it away in the last second.
Icarus flew a little too close to the sun there. Got too close to RT in close range. Generated a win for Zeta Division. Once more, a last-second finish where they just hold on. This one was much better than in game number 1, though. They escaped by the skin of their teeth. They were backed into a corner and really a second longer and would have gone the other way. Checking out the stats here as well, Vegeta leading the battle in terms of damage, but when we saw the individual lanes, I gotta hand it to Suzuku for reliably holding him off, getting those nest eggs down in a way that benefited his entire team.
Shitetampo there in that top right corner towards the end of that round was just dodged an insane number of projectiles and those mines that came in from Tick. So here was obviously the game plan, make use of that head first there. Vegeta throwing out gadget after gadget here, that Homemade Recipe just to get those curved shots. It wasn't always clear to see what the plan was supposed to be for him outside of getting that extra damage. This is where Zeta sneak away that key round in the dying seconds. Shitetampo runs interference there. And this is when they end up running into the RT. Look at Shitetampo at the top of your screen. Drops the legs and comes straight forward. He says, watch out. I'm coming for you.
It's a matchup that you win in close range. Like, finally, we see that RT pick actually generates something in close range. It was more of a safe one to keep anything too aggressive coming out from Elevate. It worked, okay? They didn't go an assassin or anything like that. They went for the tick that usually just gets reliable damage, gets the supers, and typically they generate pressure. But Zeta Division, they didn't bend to that will at all. We saw Shitetampo in the back right, didn't really even care. The hypercharged tick super came out. No one cared at all. They didn't even think enough to prioritize him in terms of a last-minute kill in game number 1. I think Elevate, they went something that was really on Zeta Division's level. This is a more consistent draft. Outdraft, a little bit more debatable between the two teams. Zeta Division are winning on a mechanics basis.
Yeah, you felt like you didn't mind the tick last pick on Hideout too much. Pretty good for their map control, but the execution of the pick didn't really measure up to at least the hype it generated. Out in the open, we're headed over to next, folks. And a number of the brawls we've already seen this series have homes on this map as well. Namely that Gaskin is really potent. Crucially, we've seen Eve picked up on occasion. Even here, that Angelo is the one that has great access to that left side of the map, being able to cross the water and be a real impact player all through the round from start to finish.
Angelo was part of the conversation